And hello, welcome to Rolling Solo, which sounds really weird to say because normally I say hello, welcome to solo playthroughs, but here I am, guest host of Rolling Solo. So if you are looking forward to the dulcet tones of Adam Smith in this playthrough, I am very sorry to disappoint you, but hopefully you will accept my dulcet tones as a mere close enough approximation of what Adam does on this channel. I am honored and excited to have been asked by Adam to put some content on his channel. For those of you who do not know me, who the heck is this weird dude? My name is Greg. I operate the YouTube channel Solo Playthroughs. I have 8% of the subscribers that Adam does, but I've been doing this for a couple years. I feature a lot of Mage Knight, Spirit Island, Arkham, Gaia Project, and all of the good stuff that we all love in this hobby, right? So here I am. Mage Knight is definitely one of the games I have featured the most, with somewhere around 30 Mage Knight playthroughs on my channel, with all the different scenarios, including the Volcare scenarios in Lost Legion, including the Shades of Tesla scenarios, and obviously the scenarios from the base games, Solo Conquest being the one that we come back to the most because it is just a super fun challenge. Conquer those two cities in 2 days. Now, I am going to put this at level 812 today, so we will be getting a Megapolis on the channel. Additionally, I will have Volcare's camp shuffled in, so that could come up as an alternative for us, and we may see Volcare. And if I pull him for the Megapolis, again, you cannot make a Megapolis with Volcare's camp, so I could do a level 12 Volcare's camp using the rules from Lost Legion, or we could do a 6 and 6 depending on what comes out of the deck, and again, we'll leave Volcare's camp as an alternative. Now, I did just do a live playthrough at 10:12 on my channel using Wolfhawk, who is the hero that comes in the Lost Legion expansion. I'm knocking it down to 8:12, mostly because it's my first time on Adam's channel, and I want to make sure, that something crazy doesn't happen when I get to that first city. That first city is often the harder city to conquer, so I did not set down to an 8. Remember, the recommended settings in the rulebook is 5-8 for the city level, so I'm basically just taking the second city and now make that my first city, then we'll go for a 12 so we can get to a Megapolis for the second one. So yes, wanted to do that. The second reason is Tovak, as some of you may already know, is my least favorite of the mages as far as strength. He's an interesting challenge. I don't find him doing anything all that well. He does enough to be good. All the mages can be really good. He just doesn't have the movement of Wolfhawk. He doesn't have the elemental attack of Arethea. He doesn't have the mana production of Goldix. He doesn't have the ability to get units like Norowas. He's just a very nice intro character to the game. If you're going to learn Mage Knight, learning with Tovak is highly recommended. However, you might struggle with Tovak more than you would struggle with the others as you start learning more and more of the rules. So normally in my playthroughs, I play very fast. I will try to slow it down, make sure I'm explaining things for someone who's not used to how I do things and who might be newer to this game, considering that you're not watching this on my channel with a bunch of Mage Knight playthroughs. So we're going to do this here. So I will try to make sure I'm explaining things as I go to make sure that everyone understands what the heck is going on. So let's go ahead and set the terrain deck. Now, in a Solo Conquest game, the terrain deck is going to have 7 countryside tiles. It's going to have 2 non-city core tiles, and it's going to have 2 city tiles. And again, one of those city tiles might be an imposter. It could be Volcare's camp. You're going to put the portal tile out. There's an A and a B side. We will be doing a wedge map, so we will need the A side face up for that wedge map. I'm going to go ahead and get these out of the way. Just roll those 3 dice. Those 3 dice are going to go into the source. Those will be mana that are available to us once a turn as we play. However, I rolled a green and 2 golds. Well, here we go. Interesting rule number 1 for today. When you roll more than half non-basic colors, and non-basic colors are going to be the golds or the blacks, then you do have to re-roll those dice to make sure you get the source up to at least half basic. What are the basic colors? Again, the green that I rolled, blue, red, and white. So I don't re-roll the green, but I do re-roll the 2 that came up non-basic. I rolled it again, and I get a black and a white. That's going to be the source. Now, that's unfortunate because I'd much rather have a gold than a black, but them's the breaks, kids. I'm going to also get these shuffled up. So these are Tovak skills. There are various times as you progress up in level that you can gain a skill. You'll take 2 off the deck and you will take 1. You'll notice I have an 11th skill here. Well, what's this? This is a cooperative skill. Now, the cooperative skills came in the Lost Legion pack, but unfortunately, unlike all you out there who have the Ultimate Edition, because you're all fancy, I have an older edition of this game. So I had the expansions that came separately, and there are some coloration issues that you can see even a little bit on this fancy dancy camera of mine. So what I'm going to do is set this aside, and I'm going to have the original competitive skill in there. And if that comes up during the course of the game, I'll just sub it out with the cooperative skill. I don't really love Tovak's cooperative skill anyway, so probably whatever it is, whether it's the competitive or the cooperative, it is probably not going to be something I will choose. All right, so I'm going to shuffle these up. Tovak skills are an interesting mix of attack and defense skills, and they can be good in the right moments. There's a movement skill in there I really like, and I'm also, as you'll learn from me if you watch any of my playthroughs, I am a huge sucker for motivation. So let me get all of the tactics cards out of there. For those who don't know, motivation is a skill that 5 of the 7 mages in this game have. It basically gives you a once around ability where you can flip it and you can get 2 cards plus a mana or a fame, depending on where you are on the fame track. In a solo game, you always have the lowest fame, so you always get that additional benefit. If you're playing a co-op game or a competitive game, you might not get that benefit if you do not have the least fame in the game. I have never played this game competitive, so if you are curious about that, based on what I just said, I have often played this game cooperative. I'm a big fan of playing it that way. I find full cooperation assaults to be super fun, and you can jack up the city levels pretty high once you're playing with people who know what they're doing, and it can be super, super fun. All right, I'm going to take these 14 countryside tiles. It's 14 because it's 11, I think, in the base game, and then 3 in Lost Legion. I'm just taking 7 off the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. These 7 tiles are just going to come out of the game. Now, we're going to get our 2 core non-city tiles. Core tiles have the brown back as opposed to the green back of the countryside tiles. So I'm going to shuffle these up. I'm going to roll the die. I don't like shuffling small decks of cards or small anything. I'm just going to let me just kind of shuffle it up a little bit. And to get true randomness in here, let's roll the die. I rolled a 4, and now I'm going to roll one more time. I rolled a 2, so there are 2 core non-city tiles. They come out of the game. And then finally, we're going to need to get our 5 city tiles. And again, there's only 4 cities, but we have Volcaire's Camp in here. And I'm also going to do the same thing. I'm going to roll a die. So I have a D6. I have 5 options, so we get 1. And I'm going to roll a die again to get our second option. I rolled a 6, not helpful with 4. We rolled a 4. Awesome. I'm going to keep these handy because if I do get a Megapolis with that second city, the way to determine what the other half of the Megapolis is, for those who don't know, with the Megapolis, you basically have a city, then a city right adjacent to it, and those are counted as one city where the powers of both cities are basically attributed to the other. So all the enemies in there will get the benefits of both cities at the same time. It's pretty nuts. So we're going to need to know what the secondary city would be in the case of getting a Megapolis for the second city. So I'm going to leave these off to the side. And if we were to get 2 cities as opposed to Volcaire's Camp, then we'll just need that. We'll pull the top one off and do that. Now I'm going to take these 4 tiles. So we have the 2 core non-city tiles and the 2 city tiles, and we're going to randomize this. I will roll a die for this because it can be important how the order of that comes out. I rolled a 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take the middle tile, and we're going to roll again. That's a 4. Yoink. That is the bottom of the terrain deck. Countryside tiles on top. We are going to reveal 2 right off the bat to set our initial terrain. And we're going to get this tile. Very cool tile. We get a dungeon. We get ourselves a monastery, otherwise known as kindling. Yes, I love to burn down monasteries in this game. Don't be scared of it. And we get this tile here, which has a refugee camp, a maze, another orc behind a wall, and another monastery. The freaky thing about this is I think if you go back to my live playthrough, this was the exact starting terrain I had in that playthrough, and that's really weird, but, it is what it is. I don't know. Very strange. So let's deal with all of that later. I want to shuffle the rest of the decks, and then we'll kind of put the appropriate tokens on there as we go. I'm going to shuffle up Tovak's D deck. A D deck for a mage has 16 cards in it, 4 of all 4 different colors, and each mage has 2 unique cards. I don't love Tovak's unique cards. I find them a little bit underwhelming, especially compared to those of the other mages, but they'll do. One I probably undervalue more than I should, and we'll discuss that as we go. The other one I find to be, again, just very unimpressive, and this will go right here. We're going to shuffle up the units. I have my cards sleeved, as you can tell. I do that because there are discoloration issues with the different expansions that I had, so it just made it important just to sleeve everything in opaque sleeves. So I'm going to put out the unit offer. The unit offer at the start of a Solo Conquest game is only going to have 3 units in it. Now, in a full cooperation, you would get 1 additional for each additional player. That includes the source as well. You get 1 additional die for each additional player in a full cooperation conquest. But here in Solo Conquest, we're just going to get 3 units. And at the start of the game, since there are no core tiles on the board, all 3 of those units are going to be regular units, again, which are the ones in the blue back. So we get some scouts, we get some magic familiars, and we get some guardian golems, who I love more than the other 2 in a few ways. The magic familiars are interesting. They can be recruited in a magical glade. That's very rare. And you can also see they can be recruited in a monastery and a mage tower. Where these things can be recruited is along the left. How much they cost to recruit and influence is at the top. There's some special symbols here for the magic familiars, which I might get to. And then you have the level of the unit. The scouts are a level 1 unit, and the magic familiars and the guardian golems are a level 2. And you could tell that by the Roman numerals up in the top right. And again, we'll get into the abilities of these units if I have the opportunity to recruit one. The refugee camp does give me a chance to recruit any of these units. There just might be a surcharge depending on where else those units could be recruited normally. So that's interesting. So many interesting things on these terrain tiles. I'm not going to lie. The mazes and the refugee camps were newly introduced to the game in the Lost Legion expansion, which really does flesh out the base game a whole lot. Now, I played this game, just the base game, for a long time before adding the Lost Legion content, and I was totally happy with that and don't have any regrets there. But the maze is nice. It gives you some really interesting options, and I'm picking up artifacts and spells. The refugee camp is nice. So this is obviously a Lost Legion countryside terrain tile. And again, all tiles point in a way that the number always lines up. So the 7's there, the 12's there, and the 1's there. We're going to continue that pattern as we go. There is a variant you can play where you just kind of have random orientation. I find that creates some issues, and I just don't like it that way. The recommended way to play the game is going to be the orientation where everything matches up. So you make some stars and circles, kids. Who doesn't love stars and circles? So we're going to shuffle this deck up. This is the artifact deck. Artifacts can be very powerful. The most common way you're going to get an artifact is by burning down a monastery. You could also get artifacts by defeating a monster enemy in a dungeon, and you roll a die, and it tells you whether you get a spell or an artifact, or you can get an artifact in a maze. If you can get there, spend 6 points of movement to get into the highest part of that maze and defeat the random monster enemy there. I put all my enemies in bags. I do that because it takes so much less time for setup and cleanup than having all those stacks of enemies everywhere. No, thank you. So again, these are my Mage Tower garrisons, my dragons. These are my city garrisons, my monsters, my orcs, and my keep garrisons. And then we have the ruins in that bag. So these bags are garnished with my wonderful artwork. My artistic abilities I know are off the charts. I'm taking commissions. You can let me know if you want anything, but you'll see me drawn to those. And it's like, well, how do you know which side's face up or face down? I played this game too much. The sides of the tokens, one side is curved, one side is a sharper edge, and you can start distinguishing very quickly which is face up, which is face down. I do warn you that the Ultimate Edition, they have the artwork on the opposite side when it comes to curved and the edge, and that drove me nuts when I was playing my friend's copy of Ultimate Edition. But you can very quickly train your fingers to know what's face down and what's face up, so you don't see anything you're not supposed to see. All right, so I'm shuffling the advanced action offer. The advanced action offer, doesn't matter how many players you have, will always have 3 advanced actions in it. So ding, ding, and we will start with 3 cards in the offer. What is the beginning offer we have? We have Stout Resolve. Big fan of that card. We have Training, another decent card there. And we have Force of Nature. Out of those 3, I do like Training the least. I find it very hard to play a throw a card away strategy, which is what Training requires. But I will be almost guaranteed to take Stout Resolve in my first level up here, which hopefully will be only a couple of turns in. I am now shuffling the spell offer, and we will do this. So bottom card on the spell offer is Cure. The middle card is Burning Shield, like that card, and the top card is Flame Wall. Amazing! That's a very, very good card and can very much change the complexion of a game when you have those big garrisons of many enemy units later in the game. Cure is nice. The disease part can be very strong as well. You see all the cards in Mage Knight. For those who don't know, just kind of learned in the game, or it's been a while, all the cards in Mage Knight have two abilities. There's a top ability and a bottom. With the advanced actions, the top ability you can always get. You play the card, you get that ability. Or you can spend a mana corresponding to the color of the card. So all these cards just happen to be green. That's very unusual. But if you spent the green mana, whether it was from a token that you got somehow from your inventory or from the die from the source, these are functionally the same during the course of the game. In most situations, at least, if you spent the mana cost, you would get the stronger effect of the card. And then when it comes to spells, if you want the stronger effect of the card, well, you need that mana cost. So here you would need a green mana. Here you need a red. Here you would need a red. In addition, to get the stronger effect, you would also need a black mana. Now, black mana can never be stored as crystals from turn to turn. So you can never have black mana in your inventory. That's different from the basic colors, where you can have 3 crystals of a certain color. So you can have 3 blues, 3 reds, 3 whites, 3 greens in your inventory as the game progresses. The black mana, again, has to be used in that turn, so you have to find a way to have access to the black mana. So if you spent the mana cost of the color plus the black mana, then you would get the stronger effect. Now, black mana can only be used at night, or it can be used in a situation where night rules apply. Well, it's night when we're in a night round. We start with a day round. Guess what? The next round is night, people. Oh, shocking developments. Or if we go into a place like a dungeon. Well, it's really dark in a dungeon. Night rules apply. So you would be able to use black mana in a dungeon. I need a dummy player. That's not nice. Why am I calling someone a dummy? It's not me, man. It's just a game. It's a dummy player. So the dummy player functions pretty much as your timer. They're not really an Atoma deck. They're not really an opponent. They are just your brutal timer that makes sure you do not spend too much time dilly-dallying in any one round. So for my dummy player, we just have to draw one of the other mages. So to my left, I have Norwas, I have Wolfhawk, I have Krang, I have Goldix, I have Arethia, and I have the crappiest mini in the world himself in Bravelar. So I'm going to roll the die. I rolled a 4. Goldix in the house. The dragon with the mostest. I think Goldix was also my dummy player in my live playthrough, so this is getting a little bit freaky, having a little bit of deja vu. Goldix, at least, does not have the discoloration issues when it comes to the competitive versus the cooperative skill. So I am going to leave his competitive skill in the box. There it is. I'm going to take his dragonness out of the box. We need his player token, or her, or their, whatever. It's a dragon. I'm not sure how to check for that with the dragon. And then we're going to shuffle these 10 skill dice up, and we're going to get ourselves a nice little stack of skills to go right next to our Tovak skills. So the way the skills work for the dummy player, whenever you take a new skill, when you do one of the appropriate level ups, you get new skills at the even number levels. You start at level 1. So level 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, we will get a new skill. Every time we do that, we'll take one of the dummy player skills, we'll put it in the skill offer, and in future times that we take a skill, we can take the dummy player skill instead. The limitation that comes with that is when you take one of your own skills, whenever you get a new skill, you can take whatever card in the advanced action offer that you want. But when you take the dummy player skill, you have to take the bottom card, and you might not always want to take the bottom card. However, we will deal with that situation when it comes up. I am going to get Goldix's deed deck, and we're going to get Goldix's school picture right there next to his deed deck. This is Goldix's skill explanation card. Each of the mages comes with a card like this. The 4 base mages have a second card that explains their cooperative skills, which is good. We're going to shuffle this up. There should be 16 cards in this deck. Now, I've been told my shuffling is wild. When I have sleeve cards, I do a sideways shuffle. It just works for me. I've never said I didn't have any weird problems, guys, so you'll get used to it, and girls. And we're going to count to 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So Greg can count to 16, and we have the right number of cards. I'm going to add to his inventory 2 greens and 1 blue. And that will affect the timer and how fast it goes, and we will see that play out very soon. Let me make sure I have 16 cards in my deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I do. And now we can get to the moment you've all been waiting for in setting up the different tokens. Right. So let's take this one terrain at a time. And I'm going to make a little bit of room over here, and you'll see why in 1 second. So this first tile has a monastery. Every time a monastery lands on the board, for each monastery that's not burned down by me, yep, we'll get there, we are going to put 1 card in the unit offer. Now, normally, you only get advanced action cards when you level up. However, if you're at a monastery, you can spend 6 points of influence to take one of the advanced actions from the monastery, from the unit offer, right? So basically, it's like you're at the monastery, and there are some monks there that want to train you in some advanced skills, but you have to spend the influence in order to convince them to give you that training. Counterattack is a super strong card, unlikely to get that this turn, but we shall see how this plays out. Now, the rest of this tile, again, we have a lake, we have a swamp, we have 2 plains hexagons, and we have 2 forest hexagons. The forest hexagons are interesting because during the day, they only cost 3 to move through, but at night, they do cost 5. So we are going to want to get there by the end of this first round, if at all possible. And here on that symbol, we just have to put ourselves an orc. So I'm going to reach into my handy dandy orc bag, and orcs are always face up, day or night. And here we have an ironclad. Awesome. So the ironclad has a bunch of information on it. At the bottom, it says 4 in a shield thing. Now that's how many fame we would get were we to defeat the ironclad. Now I'm going to put this shield up there and this shield here. So you'll note that this shield tracks our fame. This shield tracks where we are on the reputation track. So if we kill this ironclad, we get 4 fame, we would go there. Obviously that would give us a level up because we went, I don't know, down to the next step. So we actually level, you move down the stairs to level up, people. It's very simple. Here we have how much the ironclad attacks. He's attacking with a 4. Here you have his offensive abilities. One of his offensive abilities, or his only offensive ability, is going to be brutal. So that means if we do not block that 4, instead of only having to assign 4 points of damage to us, we would have to assign double that. So we'd have to assign 8. At the top, we have his armor value. So his armor value is a 3. What that means is we would need to attack him with 3 points of attack in order to defeat him. However, he's got another little special token right there. That little special ability says it has a fist in a gray pentagon on his tile, which basically means that he has resistance to physical attacks. So if we were attacking him with physical attacks, we would actually need double the amount that's listed in the armor. So we would need 6 points of physical attack as opposed to just the 3. Next tile, we have, again, the refugee camp, the maze, as I said. We have another monastery, so let me put that advanced action in the unit offer. And I'm going to put a die right here to indicate that we have 2 monasteries in play that are not burned down. And we have the learning advanced action that will go there. And here we have a marauding orc who's going to go in the center of that tile. So when I start this game, I would really have 2 options. I have the option to go this way or this way. I am going to go this way. There's a swamp there. The walls are going to have to add to movement to get across them. So there's a lot of things about this tile that I just don't love. And the dungeon and the monastery here are very, very nice locations for me and targets for me to gain some skills, gain a spell, gain some getting unit maybe. We'll see how this all plays out. So this orc here is called a tracker. I will probably call it a prowler at some point in this game. It looks like Cthulhu and a panda bear had a baby to me. But, you know, it is what it is. It's a tracker. Now, the tracker has 3 fame that is worth if you defeat it. Additionally, it's attacking with a 4. So you would need to block 4. It doesn't have brutal, though. So the good thing is it would only come in as 4 points of damage as opposed to 8 if you weren't blocking it. It has the assassin ability, which means that you cannot assign any wounds from the damage points from the tracker to any of your units. You have to take them onto your hero, so you have to take those wounds into your hand. And then finally, it's elusive. So you have a 3 and a 6. Now, every combat, and it doesn't matter if you're with a fortified site, if you're attacking a city, garrison with a bunch of enemies, if you're attacking a monster in the dungeon, it doesn't matter. Every battle has the same steps. First, you have the range and siege attack phase, then you have the block phase, then you have the assigned damage phase, then you have the melee part of that attack, and then you have rewards at the end of your turn. If you are attacking this tracker in the range and siege attack phase, you would not only need 3 points of damage, but because it's elusive, so it's running very fast away from your attack, you actually need to do 6 points of damage in order to defeat it in the range and siege attack phase. If you don't block it and you take the wounds instead, you will still need 6 points of damage in the melee attack phase. However, if you block it, you've exhausted it a little bit. It's not as speedy as it was. It's not as elusive as it was. You would only need the 3 points of damage in the melee attack phase. So important to remember that. One other note about this tracker in particular is that because this tracker is behind the wall, if we were to have a battle with this tracker, we would not be able to get away with 6 range plus siege attack. We would actually need 6 siege attack to defeat this in the range of siege attack phase because it has the fortifications of the wall. Range attack cannot be used most of the time when there are fortifications. This wall counts as fortifications. Some enemies will have fortifications, or most enemies that have fortifications will get it from the building that they're standing on. This enemy gets fortifications because it's behind a wall. Some enemies have fortification actually shown on their token. And if that comes up during this playthrough, I will make sure to point that out then. So a whole lot to talk about here. I really hope that all made sense. Any questions, put it in the comments, and I will be sure to respond as soon as I can. I think I blabbered enough. I want to get this game started. Let's do it. So when you're starting the game, you have these command tokens. Now, one command token is blank. That is your first command token that you can recruit a unit to. If you do not have an open command token like this, you cannot recruit a unit. It is what it is. Or you can recruit a unit, but you'd have to disband another unit, take it out of the game in order to slot the new unit in. Now, the rest of these tokens, they are in sequential order based on the levels listed at the bottom. So we have 9, 10, 7, 8, 5, 6, 3, 4, and 1, 2. The 2 pieces of information that matters on these tokens as we go is on the left, it says your armor. So if I was going to take 2 points of damage, well, my armor is 2. Great. I take 1 wound for every 2 points of damage that I'm assigning. So if I'm going to assign 3 points of damage to me, I'm taking the wounds into my hand. Well, the 2 armor would basically absorb 2 points of damage for 1 wound. And then that last point of damage would give me an additional wound. So if I have to absorb 5 points of damage, well, the armor would absorb 2 points of that damage with 1 wound, another 2 points of that damage with another wound, and then the 5th point of damage would give me a 3rd wound. As you progress, your armor goes up. It will go from 2 to 3 to 4. So obviously you can absorb more points of damage and be more efficient in taking less wounds. I am not scared of taking wounds in this game. I think one of the biggest mistakes new players make in Mage Knight is they do not want to take wounds, so they don't take wounds, and it puts them in a situation where they're so scared of taking wounds that they don't ever get anything done, or at least they don't get enough done to give themselves a chance to win the game. So the second piece of information on these shields here is going to be that 5 in a card. What that is my hand limit. It's the number of cards I can draw up to at the end of my turn. So I'm going to draw up to 5 to start the game. So I have March, so that's a movement card. I can get move 2 or move 4 if I spend a mana. We have Threaten, that's an influence card. Mana Draw is a card that allows me to do some fun things with the dice that are in the source. Swiftness gives me move 2 or range attack 3. And then we have Instinct. Instinct is one of Tovak's special cards. Most mages have a card called Improvisation, where you can get move 3, influence 3, attack 3, or block 3, but you have to discard a card to get it. Or you can get the enhanced effect if you spend the red mana, move 5, influence 5, attack 5, or block 5, but again, you also have to discard a card. Instinct says, all right, we don't have to discard a card, but the values on the card are just 1 less across the board. I'm not very impressed with this card. It does give some more flexibility. And the thing to remember is that you can always play any card sideways as any basic effect of move, influence, attack, or block. It doesn't give siege attack and it doesn't give range attack, but it can give you basic attack, physical attack, if you're using it sideways. So if I really still wanted that move 3, I could play Instinct for that move 2 and then Threaten sideways for move 3. This game is a card management game. How you use the cards and your ability to manipulate your values based on using cards sideways and knowing when, hey, I should save that card, and knowing what's left in your D deck, from the experience that you have in this game is really important. As you get better in this game, you'll just get more tuned to when it makes sense to play a card sideways and what you want to do on any given turn. So now that I have my first 5 cards, I have to choose my tactic. For the first day, I usually choose between Great Start or Planning. Great Start is when you take this tactic, immediately draw 2 cards. Planning is at the end of each turn, if you have at least 2 cards in your hand before you draw. Draw is if your hand limit is 1 higher. The thing with Solo Conquest is a dummy player is also going to take a tactic, and it's going to be random. Any tactic that I take this round or any tactic that Goldix takes this round comes out of the game. So I will not have it available to me in any other day round. Again, there's 2 more. So you have 6 day tactics. You have 3 rounds, and 2 are going to come out every round. So each of these cards will be used either by me or by the dummy player once over the course of this game. So I think I'm going to take Planning. I think it's going to be a little bit better for me with what I'm looking to do this round. I often like to hold on to that to the second day, but I think right now I'm going to take over the first day, and now I'm going to roll for Goldix, and we're just going to look at the numbers here, see what he rolls. He rolls a 3. So he takes Mana Steal out, which gives me the opportunity to get Great Start probably in the next round, so that makes me happy. So Goldix's tactic number is 3. This is going to come out of the game. My tactic number is 4. That means that Goldix is going to have initiative in this round and will go first. So we're going to do Goldix's turn. Goldix is going to pull off a red, a green, and a white. Every turn that the dummy player goes, they pull off 3 cards that turn. If Goldix had any white crystals in their inventory, they would additionally draw another card for each crystal in their inventory. So they don't. We don't have to worry about it. It's going to be my turn, and they still have 13 cards left in their deck. I have a couple of options here. The one option is I go to this monastery, and I see if I can't recruit something. Now, I can't recruit the guardian golems at the monastery. You can only recruit them at a maid's tower or at a keep based on the symbols on the side. I don't really like the scouts, but they do give me siege attack 1, and they only cost 4 and whatever. Or I could maybe try to get the magic familiars, which only cost me 6. The thing with the magic familiars is when you recruit the magic familiars, you also have to spend a mana token to get them, and that can be a little hard for Tovak, who's not going to be mana token rich. And you also are going to have at least 1 mana token in your inventory as a crystal at the end of the round in order to pay the magic familiars to keep them around. When I first started playing the magic familiars, I thought you had to pay them 1 mana every turn, and I was like, that's absurd, but it's only once a round, and that makes sense. But that 1 a round does mean it has to be a crystal in your inventory, and again, that can be pretty hard to get if you're Tovak at times and you get a little bit unlucky with some things. What I want to do is probably get to that monastery, and I'll look into maybe spending influence on counterattack, maybe spending influence on the magic familiars or the scouts. We'll see what cards I pull, but it'll also give me a chance to burn down the monastery and get an artifact, and I will have to go against a Mage Tower garrison as opposed to a monster enemy garrison. And I think the Mage Tower garrison is probably a little bit better for me. So I'm going to spend March. I'm going to power it with a green to give me move 4, gives me the stronger effect of March. And now I'm going to play Swiftness. That's going to be me to move 2 more. That's a total move of 6, and it's 2 movement, 2 movement, 2 movement for a total of 6 movement. It's only 2 to go through the plains, day or night. Again, hills, it's going to be 3 day or night. Wastelands, it's 4 day or night. Swamp, it's 5 day or night. The 2 variable movement costs are going to be the jungles and are going to be the deserts. There are also lakes and mountains, which you normally cannot move through. There are some abilities that will allow you to, but it will tell you what the move cost is. And then whenever there's a city, it's always 2 movement in, regardless of what the terrain artwork is underneath the city. And we'll explain that as we get there. All right, I am in the monastery. At the end of your turn, you can drop any number of cards. So if I didn't think I was going to use this influence card, I might drop it. I think I might. So I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 5. 1 and 2. So I should clean up my play area first to kind of keep this orderly in front of me. So I roll that. That's a gold. That's a much better roll. And I'm going to put these 2 cards in my discard pile. I drew up to 5, as I said, but planning, since I had 3 cards in my hand at the end of the turn, I get to draw as if my hand limit was 6, which is super nice. Now, even if these were wound cards, oh, I picked up Promise. Nice. Even if these were wound cards, I would still be able to draw with planning, triggering. The reason for that's pretty simple is that in a competitive game, you wouldn't want to let your opponents know that all you had in your hand was wounds. It could be really bad. So even wounds would count for the purposes of planning, which can be really helpful. All right, Goldix's second turn. Goldix gets a red card, and a green card. Now, Goldix has 2 green crystals in its inventory, and 1 and 2, so it's gone through 8 cards, has 8 left. My turn. I want to do some things. I could just recruit the scouts. I could try to recruit the magic familiars. I mean, the scouts, they have some weird abilities. They're just not all that strong. They have extra movement. More seriously considering counterattack, because that's just a very, very cool card. Let me do that. I'm going to power Promise with the white die from the source. So that's my 1 mana for the turn. So that gives me 4 influence. And then I'm going to play Threaten, which gives me the basic effect of 2 more influence. So that's going to be 6 influence total. And then I'm going to get myself some counterattack here. I don't like the scouts enough to really worry about them. I do have ways of getting them, though. I mean, I could play Mana Draw to get me a 2nd die from the source this turn, which would allow me to power Instinct, and I get the scouts. I just don't think that makes enough sense, to be honest with you. So I'm going to just take counterattack because I love it. That's going to go there. Now, anytime you gain a card, this being no exception, unless there's something that's saying otherwise, you gain that card right on top of your D deck. And now I'm going to roll this die. It's a gold. I'm going to clean up my play area, and we're going to go to the next turn. I could drop Stamina. I don't think I want all that movement. He's already halfway through his deck, and I think I want to try to get some more powerful cards to defeat whatever I get out of there. So I will drop Stamina, and then I'm going to draw out to my hand limit, which is 5, 1, 2, and 3 more cards, and then planning triggers. That's going to give me up to 6. Super, super attacky hand, which is going to be good for burning down the monastery. So dummy player's turn. We're going to peel off 3 cards. We get a white, we get a red, we get a blue. There's 1 blue crystal in Goldix's inventory, so that's going to come off. My turn, we are going to attack the monastery. So first thing that happens, the people in the countryside don't think that highly of mages that burn down monasteries. It seems like kind of a jerk thing to do, but and as I always say, if the mages would just give me what they're hiding and give me the artifact that they know I want, I wouldn't burn down their freaking building. But they don't. So this is what has to happen. I am going to lose 3 reputation. Now, reputation, I could have talked about when I spent my influence during interaction. My reputation was at a 0 when this game started. So when I just interacted the last turn and spent the 6 influence, what it means is my influence was modified by 0. After burning down this monastery, if I were to try to do an interaction on the next turn per se, my amount of influence I'm spending is actually modified by whatever the number is. So it could be -1, -2, -3, -5, or bam, you're on X, you can't do interaction at all. So I'm at -1 right now. There are ways to get reputation back, but you have to defeat like a rampaging enemy. These are rampaging enemies, marauding enemies. It depends on what word you prefer. So if I were to defeat that ironclad by the end of this round, I would get 1 reputation back. So we'll kind of talk about that as we go. But for the most part, burning down a monastery is a pretty big hit to your reputation, but not the end of the world. Oh, and you lose that reputation whether or not you win or lose in the battle that's about to happen in 1 second. So, burning down a monastery, here we go. When you're burning down a monastery, you get a random Mage Tower Garrison. So any of the purple tokens, and you're going to flip it over, and it is a Ice Mage. Now, the Ice Mage is unfortified. So if I can get up to 6 attack, I could kill it. So that's a little bit unfortunate because I can only get to a range plus siege attack of a 5. I can play concentration, I can power it with the white, and I can get the stronger effect of this card. So the range attack 3 plus 2. And that is one of the few times where you can get attack of any type. So concentration says, hey, this swiftness is now a range attack 5, not just a range attack 3, because you're concentrating really hard. But unfortunately, 5 is not going to be enough. Now, one thing to note about when you're sieging a monastery is that the units are so appalled by your actions that any unit you have, they will not participate. So even had I recruited those scouts are like, nah, we're sitting this one out. Not helping you, dude. So I have to decide how I want to proceed. Now, I know I still have a heal card in my deck, right? So taking some wounds right now isn't the worst deal ever. The question for me is, do I really want to spend 5 points of attack to block this? But actually, it's going to be 10 because this Ice Mage here, he is attacking with an ice attack. Physical block is only half efficient when it comes to blocking an ice attack. It's also half efficient when blocking a fire attack. So I actually need 10 points of physical block to block that. That is just way too many block points for me. So I am not going to even bother. No way, no how. That's just not happening. So what am I going to do? So the range or siege attack phase, I cannot defeat it. I only have range attack 5. That's unfortunate. So now it's going to attack me. It's attacking me with 5 points of damage. So it doesn't matter what element it is. It has 5 points of damage. Now there are no offensive abilities on this, so I don't need to worry about anything else. There's no poison. There's no brutal. There's no nothing. It's just 5 points of damage. Again, as I went through the math earlier, 5 points of damage converts to 3 wounds that I'm just going to put right in my hand because I can't put them on any units because I don't have any units. And again, if I had any units, I can't put them on them anyway because I'm burning down a monastery. Dems the bricks. So I realized I accidentally dropped mana draw last hand. I never would have done that. That was a mistake. I know I picked up a rage as the last card. I was like, I knew mana draw was in my hand. I'm going to definitely want that. So mana draw would stay in my hand. It doesn't change anything of what I'm going to do right now. I know I would have wanted mana draw in my hand. Sorry about that. I must have dropped it as an example of being able to recruit the scouts. It is what it is. Backtrack. I know the rage was the last thing I picked up because I already had the instinct and I already had the counterattack and I already had, yeah. So that all made sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now in the melee phase, I'm going to power rage. It gives me attack 4. And then I'm going to play instinct, which is just going to give me attack 2. And that attack 6 is enough to defeat this Ice Mage. Now, the Ice Mage, again, has 6 armor. It has ice resistance. So if these were ice attacks, they would be halved, but it does not have physical resistance. So that's physical attack 6 is enough to defeat the Ice Mage. That's going to give me 5 fame. Now, I already lost my 3 reputation. This goes away. And then I roll that die and clean up my play area. That is now a red. So what am I going to do now? I am going to look at my hand. There's no cards I want to drop. I'm going to get my reward. So my reward for burning down a monastery is that I find that juicy artifact that they were not giving me. So I have 2 options here. The one is a Druidic Staff. The other is a Sword of Justice. The Druidic Staff allows me to discard a card. Depending on its color, I can get move 2 as long as I end in a safe space. A safe space is anything that's not causing a battle. So a fortified site would not be a safe space. I can get 2 crystals of any color if I discard a blue card. I can ready a unit level 3 or under, or I can get heal 3 if I discard a green. That seems like the no-brainer for me right now and get rid of all 3 of these wounds. The other option I have is Sword of Justice. When I play this, discard any number of cards from your hand. You get attack 3 for each card you discard, fame 1 for each enemy you defeat this turn. Look, I already got counterattack, which is a nice strong card. I'm probably going to get Stout Resolve in a second. Normally this is a great card, but I just don't think it's great for me this game. You'll also notice that the artifacts have stronger effects, just like the rest of the cards. The artifacts are not once a round effects. They are get me out of the game, and then you get to do the stronger effect. So there are things that you wouldn't do very early in the game. That discard a card for attack 3 isn't going to be as helpful for me. The super strong effect of Sword of Justice is awesome, but I'm not going to really want to burn that up by throwing this card away until like the last round. But what I would be able to do if I did take this card is once this game, I can trash this card and I can double the contribution of all physical attacks I play this turn. And that could be really, really strong. And enemies also lose physical resistance. It's a pretty sick card. It's just unfortunately not working for my hand. The Druidic Staff's a lot more flexible, and I'm looking for that flexibility right now. So I'm going to take the Druidic Staff, and when I throw this card out in round 6, I get to do 2 of the things above without discarding any cards to do it. That's going to be really awesome when I get that later. So for now, Sword of Justice going to go on the bottom of the artifact deck, and the Druidic Staff gets added to my deed deck. I also leveled up. I got to that lower step. So level up. I'm going to look at the top 2 skills of my skill pile. So here we have right off the bat the competitive skill, taking that out of the game. We have the cooperative skill. I am going to take this skill here. And what that skill is called Cold Swordsmanship. So once a turn, not once a round, once a turn, I can get physical attack 2 or ice attack 2. That can be really, really helpful. The mana overload thing is a little tricky. Mana overload is you would get a mana of any color, you can use it, and then the next turn, the cooperative skills, you have to do it the very next turn. The very next turn, if I use a mana of that same color, it'd be +4 to whatever it would normally be. So it just unfortunately doesn't work all that well with Tovak unless you're really loaded up on crystals already. So I'm going to take this. The elemental attack every turn can be really, really nice, especially if I want to take off those ironclads who have that physical resistance. And then finally, I'm going to obtain a card from the advanced action offer, and I'm going to take myself some Stout Resolve because it's awesome. That's going to go there. We get decompose. The advanced action offer replenishes as you take new cards. So these two offers here, they replenish as you take a card. You'll notice when I took the advanced action out of the unit offer, that doesn't replenish in the middle of a round. It only gets reset every round. That's the same with the units there. And speaking of which, since I burned down a monastery, I can make this die a 1 because there's only one unburned monastery on the board. So a lot less training available thematically, right? So here we are. Don't hate that turn. I do hate the fact that I'm not through nearly enough of my deck. So we'll see how this goes off. I'm going to go to Goldix's turn. Goldix has a green, a blue, and a green. So 2 more cards. That goes there. He's going to declare end of round next turn. So he went through his deck in 4 turns. So for me, remember I moved, I spent influence, I burned down the monastery, and now I'm not in the most amazing shape here because I have 3 wounds and I wasn't able to draw any cards from my deck. So I do want to try to at least defeat the monster in the dungeon, I think is my play right now. Yeah, I'm going to rest. I'm going to get rid of concentration and all 3 of these. Oh, that's so bad. He went through his deck 1 turn too fast for my taste. That is for sure. I wish I had Tovak's movement skill. That would have been a little bit better. Oh, Tovak. All right, so my options are I can just play a normal turn, hold on to all these wounds, or I can rest. And when you rest, you have to discard 1 non-wound card, and you can discard any number of wounds from your hand. And I think, unfortunately, that's what I'm going to have to do right now, which is just really not efficient because I have 2 cards that are going to give me healing, and I don't think I'm going to be able to take advantage of them this turn, but that's fine. I'll just get them next round. So I am going to drop the mana draw that I was so interested in holding on to because I have concentration. I have some interesting flexibility here. So I'm going to discard the 1 mana draw card and any number of wounds, and then I'm going to draw it to my hand limit, which is 5, and I'm going to draw 1 more because planning still triggers. Goldix declares end of round, so this is my last turn. So planning can just go out of the game. I got a whole bunch of my deck I didn't get to, and that's a wee bit unfortunate. I'm going to... I wish I had a blue because then I could discard a blue card, get 2 crystals of any color, but that wasn't meant to be... Yeah, I'm going to play Duritic Staff. I'm going to discard Swiftness. And since Swiftness is a white card, that's going to allow me to move up to 2 revealed spaces to a safe space. Now, this is still a safe space, but it's an adventure site. So when I land here, just like when I landed on the monastery, I didn't necessarily trigger an attack. I chose to attack. The dungeons are the same thing. I'm like, I'm going to go in and see what's in this dungeon. Other things, if you land on it, automatically triggers attack. Those are like keeps. Those are mage towers. Here, you actually never move onto a space that has an orc. You only attack them from the adjacent space. But here I am. So I'm on the dungeon. I'm going to go inside. We're pulling a random monster enemy. I think I have the hand that I'll be able to take care of this dude, whatever it is. The night rules apply, so I won't be able to use the gold that's in the source. But the black I could use in theory. But since I don't have any spells in my hand, I really have no purpose to use a black this turn, which is fine. Here we are. What is this? Now, this is the Crypt Worm. The Crypt Worm is attacking with a 6. The Crypt Worm is fortified. Now, most enemies in dungeons are not fortified, but this thing has enemy fortifications, just not site fortifications. So I am going to need to block that 6 if I don't want to take any wounds, and you do have to block it full. You can't do like a half block. Now, in a competitive game, you can do half blocks and whatnot, but in the normal game, it's all or nothing. You either block it or you don't. I should be able to block it. I'm going to get block 2 from Stout Resolve, block... Wow. So the crazy thing about that is I can't even block this sucker. I can block him, but then I can't kill him. Because I don't have access to the green, and that's super unfortunate. Because I'm taking 3 more wounds, I think. I don't think there's anything I can do about it. Attack 6 is pretty nasty. Concentration will only give me a blue, white, or red mana token. It won't give me a green, and I really wish I had a green. This stinks. I could get block 5 and then get attack 9, which is awesome. The attack's not my problem. The problem is I just don't have the block. So here we go. 3 more wounds. 1, 2, 3, because it's giving me an attack of a 6. My armor is still only a 2. And now we just do the attack phase. I can get 2 attack from that. 2 attack. I have a million ways to get all the attack I need. It's the end of the round. I'm not going to have to figure out the math. 2 exact. So I'm going to play Stout Resolve. I'm going to discard a wound to give me attack 3. Counterattack gives me attack 4, 5. This gives me attack 6, 7. So the Crypt Worm is super dead. Now, I'm going to get up to 10 fame. When you defeat something in a dungeon because it's hidden from the public, you get no increase or decrease to your reputation. I'm going to put this here, and then we're going to clean up my play area. So these cards go away. This skill I still have access to. Now I'm going to get my reward. Now, my reward in my dungeon is either going to be an artifact or a spell. How do I know which is going to be? Well, I'm going to roll this die. It is non-basic. That means I get a spell. I will take Cure because I have 6 wounds in my hand and I don't want to put another green in Goldix's inventory. So Cure makes some sense. I'm going to move these down and replenish. And Wings of Wind, Wings of Night. And we also did a level up because now I'm a level 3 mage, and that just gives me a second command token that I'm hopefully going to be able to fill next turn. Again, we are right next to our refugee camp, so I have some options there. I'm going to take my deck and all the cards I didn't get to, which is very unlike me. So Tranquility, I have Cold Toughness, which is Tovak's other skill, and all 6 of these wounds. So we have a big deck. Clearly going to want to get as much heal as possible again, which is one of the reasons I just picked up Cure. And hopefully we can get something decent in the unit offer to accomplish that. So picked up an artifact and a spell. We got our fame to 10. I don't love where we're at. Didn't get any new tiles on the board, but I don't hate where we're at either. I think we'll still have a pretty solid chance. We're going to place learning back underneath the advanced action offer. We're going to add 1 card to the dummy player's deed deck. These move down. Since there's 1 monastery left on the board, we get pathfinding here, and we're going to get this there. That's Blood Ritual. Big fan of that card. These units are going to go away. We're going to get 3 new units in the unit offer. We get the Utham Crossbowmen, we get the Foresters, and we get the Utham Swordsmen. Now, the Utham Crossbowmen and the Foresters both can normally be recruited in a village, so I can get both of them there at their cost. The Utham Swordsmen can only be recruited in a keep, so I would have a +1 surcharge if I were to try to interact in a refugee camp and recruit them there. But I don't hate that. I would definitely like the opportunity to get 1 or 2 of them early the next round and really kind of flesh out my units here in a way I didn't do it last round. We are going to re-roll for the source. So I rolled a 2 gold and a blue. Again, the 2 gold, that means that more than 50% of what I rolled was non-basic. So we have to re-roll the non-basic colors. So that's a gold and a black. 100% of that is non-basic. Hey, a white and a green. I am going to now refresh the spell offer. We're going to add a red to Goldix's inventory because that matches the spell that was at the bottom of the offer. These move down. We get a new card here, and it is Underground Travel. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 5. So we get Promise, bring on the influence cards. It's only 3 movement to get in there. So we got some options. There's a wound, and there is some stamina. My reputation is only -1. I'm going to take Preparation as my tactic. That allows me to take any card I want out, and I think that will give me a big chance to do something interesting as far as recruiting maybe multiple units next turn. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. We have to roll for Goldix's tactic for the first day. Oh, he took Sparing Power. That's so bad. I love Sparing Power for the 3rd night, but unfortunately out of the game. What that does mean, though, since his tactic was a 6 and my tactic was a 5, it does mean that I will go first. Now, preparation was done. I'm going to have to take 1 card that I want out of my hand. I'm glad I did that because I wanted Stout Resolve. That is exactly the card that I wanted. And now we can reshuffle these. All right. Let's see how this plays out. Done. I'm first. I get to move 3 to get into the refugee camp. And that is definitely what I want to do. So I'm going to power stamina. Gets me move 4. And I'm going to move in here. And I'm going to hold off to the next turn. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I went before Goldix. Speaking of which, I need to shuffle up this dude's deck. Goldix. Hopefully Goldix will go a wee bit slower this turn than last. The way it played out, I just went through my deck a little bit slow. You know, spending this second turn to get counterattack is an interesting strategy. It probably put me a turn behind where I really should have been. But, you know, it is what it is. So that goes there. again, I just did the one card my first turn because I have ideas my next turn. So when you're recruiting things and you have a negative modifier, you're always better off trying to get both in the same turn because the modifier only applies once. And when you're doing interaction, you can get as many as you can of whatever you're trying to get that can otherwise be gotten at that site, right? So at a refugee camp, I can get multiple units and the modifier only applies once. However, with only 5 cards in my hand, looking at what I have, if I stop my turn here, I'm going to have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, and I don't draw any new cards. I don't draw any new cards. Why? Because I'm at my hand limit, right? Because I drew a 6 cards to start because of preparation. So I think, if anything, I try to get 2 units over 2 turns. I just have to figure out the best way to do that. So I think I don't play stamina with the blue. I'm going to play both staminas, and that's going to give me access to one of these. I know the source is a white, a blue, and a green. Yeah, let me do this. I'm going to spend concentration. I'm going to get the stronger effect of Stout Resolve plus 2. So, Stout Resolve stronger effect is move 3, influence 3, attack 3, or block 3. You may discard any number of cards, including 1 wound, to increase the effect of this by 2 each. So, I'm going to discard the 1 wound. That gives me influence 7. I'm going to spend that 7 to get myself the Utham Crossbowman. It gives me attack or block 3 every turn and range attack 2. The Utham Swordsmen are awesome, but they do become wounded if you use a stronger effect, and that range attack could be really nice. Although, no, let me take the Swordsman. I actually changed my mind here. I have enough things that give me heal right now. I'm going to take the Swordsman, and that could really work well with Cure and whatnot. So I think that's a little bit more powerful. So I had the influence 7. Remember, my reputation check modified that to 6 points of influence. That's enough for me to get the swordsman from the... Nope, it's not. I can't get the swordsman. I have to get the crossbowman. And the reason why is a swordsman, there's a surcharge of 1 because they can't be recruited in the village. And then I have the -1 there. So I actually would need a total of 8 points of influence to get the swordsman with the -1 reputation. I only have the 7, so I will take the crossbowmen, and then hopefully I'll get the foresters on the next turn. Final answer. Rerolling that, it's white. We're going to put this aside, and now I'm drawing up to my hand limit, which is 5. So we get swiftness, we get a swiftness, we get a concentration, and we get a wound. Goldix's turn. Goldix is going to peel off a green, a white, and a blue. 1 blue crystal in their inventory. That is good. My turn. I'm going to power Promise with a white, and I need 2 more points of influence to get this thing done. Counterattack's great, but I have enough other attack cards. I'm going to play both of those sideways to give me influence 6. Again, the surcharge for getting the foresters, because they recruited in the village, is 0, but my reputation is -1. So I need 6 points of influence. That gives me down to 5 points of influence, and I'm going to take the foresters, and that'll be really helpful. I'm trying to think of how many more movement cards I have. I don't have a ton. I think it does make sense to hold on to this swiftness card for next turn. All right, that's out. So lost counterattack. I'm not doing a lot of attacking this turn anyway. I'm going to let those trackers live because not worth the effort. And roll that. It's now black. Drawing out my hand limit, which is 5. So it's a rage, a tranquility, and a threaten. Interesting. So I have 4 more wound cards in my deck that are unaccounted for yet. Goldix's turn. It's a red, it's a blue, it's a white. So no more cards come off. We've gone through 7 cards. Remember, Goldix added 1 card into the second round, so there's 10 cards left in Goldix's discard pile. My turn. I'm going to use the Foresters. Now, the Foresters have 2 different abilities, and when you activate a unit, you're going to move that token down on top of it. So the move cost of Forest, Hills, and Swamps is reduced by 1 this turn to a minimum of 0, or I could use it for the block 3. Clearly, I'm using it for the move. So that gives me move 2, and I'm going to spend swiftness for move 2 more, and that's going to give me a total of 4 move. Now the forest at night are normally move 5. I'm going to be able to go in there for move 4. I think this will make some sense. I am going to challenge the Ironclads this turn. Now the Ironclads, again, are attacking with a 4. I'm going to use up the Utham Crossbowman. It gives me a block 3. I'm going to play Threaten Sideways for block 4. Now I just need the attack. I'm going to use this skill. It gives me 2 ice attack. That's efficient, even though there's physical resistance. So that's effectively the equivalent of 4 points of physical attack. And then I'm going to play the Rage, which gives me another attack 2. So the 2 physical attack plus the 2 ice attack is enough to defeat the Ironclads. You see the power of having the right skill at the right time. So I'm going to throw these into my discard pile. Since I defeated the Ironclads, now they're a rampaging or marauding enemy, I get +1 reputation because it makes the townsfolk happy. They just forgot that I burned down a monastery not that long ago. And I'm going to get 4 fame. That's going to get me from 10 to 14. I'm just shy of another level up. And at the end of my turn, since I ended on a magical glade, I get to throw away a wound from my hand or my discard pile. I will go ahead and throw away this wound from my hand. Now, it's not healing, it's just throwing away a wound. And it does make a pretty significant difference between the two. I'm going to draw up to my hand limit, which is 5. I get mana draw, instinct, march, and rage. So by 4 wounds, still very much hiding in my deck, which isn't great. And I do not have access to a green, which also isn't great. Atoma's turn. Atoma, wow. Goldix's turn. They pull a green, and a blue. They get 1 more. It is a white. So they only have 6 cards left in their deck. Man, they're going to load up with another green card too. I'd really like to get that before they get a chance to get it. My turn. I have a ton of wounds left in my deck and no greens. Yikes. I'm going to... Haven't seen crystallized yet. What is happening? I know I still have cure. I mean, there's definitely ways I can get around this. All right. I'm going to play mana draw and a power with a white. It allows me to take another card from the source, another dice from the source. I'm going to set it to any color I want, and I get 2 of that color. I'm going to take 2 greens. Hopefully this works out for me the way I hope. We're going to take the 1 green, and we're going to use it to power March. Again, these are mana tokens, not crystals. And I'm going to use the 1 to explore. So exploring is 2 points of movement. So I'm going to explore right there. So we go to the terrain deck. The top tile comes out. It is another magical glade. So we have a village over here. We have a marauding orc, and we have a magical glade. Not nearly as exciting a tile, but I am happy to see that village. This is going to be face up. What is it? It is a prowler. So the prowler are only worth 2 fame. They only attack with 4. They only have 3 armor, and they literally have nothing else exciting going for them. I have 2 more points of movement from the march, which I can definitely use. So I think that makes some sense. Do I want to use tranquility or not? Yeah, why not? So I'm going to play tranquility, power it with the other green that I had. So that lets me draw 2 cards. I get cold toughness and a wound. And can I get 7 movement to get in there? I don't think I can. So I guess the debate is whether I just stay in that magical glade to throw away this wound, considering it's only 6 movement and I'm just wasting the 2. I think that makes some sense. Let's get rid of these wounds. I have 3 left in my deck, and we'll see what I can do, next turn. So, end of my turn, since I am on a magical glade, that goes away. These 2 mana tokens go away. So I basically use tranquility to draw more cards, to draw a wound, to allow me to heal a wound in the magical glade I was already standing in. At the end of the turn, this die doesn't get re-rolled like normal. However, per the terms of mana draw, when you use a stronger effect, this die does not get re-rolled. Again, you get to set it to any color you want, and you have access to it your next turn. It's a very strong move and something you want to learn how to manipulate into your advantage. At the end of my turn, I have to draw up to my hand limit, which is 5. I don't think I need all these attack cards. I'm going to drop cold toughness and draw up to 5. So we have a march, we have a wound, and we have another wound. There are all the wounds. There they are. Still have cure. I'm hesitant to use that green because I know I have that cure ability, and I know I have 3 wounds left. So we'll see how this plays out. I still have Druidic Staff too. So Goldix goes, it's a red, it's a green. How? 1, 2 more. So 1 card left. So they're going to have 1 card. They're going to declare end around the next turn. So I basically have this turn, next turn, and then 1 more. So I have 3 more turns. Math. I think I'm going to really want that green for cure. Aren't I? So I cure, Druidic Staff. I have some very strong cards in here. If I can get rid of all my wounds, that'd be so huge. Oh, by the way, every turn I started in a magical glade, I would have gotten a black mana. But since I didn't have any spells, it's not worth it. But at night, you always get a black mana. And during the day, you get a gold mana, which can be huge. And I think I'm going to rest. I'm going to drop Rage and a Wound. So I draw 2 cards. And I'm going to be able to throw away a wound from my hand or discard pile. Since I know I still have Cure in my deck, I'm just going to throw away one from my discard pile. And then, again, that's why this is different than healing. I'm throwing away a wound from my hand or discard pile. And I draw up to 2 more cards. I get Crystallize and another wound, which is not awful. Goldix's turn. He has 1 more card. Goldix is declaring end of round next turn. My turn. I'm going to power crystallize with a blue to give me a green crystal because I want to make sure I have a green still in the source. I'm going to power march to give me move 4. I'm going to play instinct that gives me move 6. I'm going to move there, and that will be good. I'm going to clean up my play area, re-roll the blue to get crystallized. When you play a blue, you can get a crystal of any color to your inventory. I just use that crystal right away. Or if I'm using the basic effect, if I spent a white, I can get a white crystal. If I spent a red, I can get a red crystal. Green crystal. The blue is the one that's the most flexible, though. You can get any crystal of any color. I draw to my hand limit, which is 5. Here we go. Man, I just don't understand. Yeah, Druidic Staff on the bottom of my deck with no other cards in my hand is really unfortunate. Goldix declares end of round. My turn. I'm going to heal 2 by power and cure, and now I have 1 wound left in my deck. And it's a heal 2 instead of a heal 3. I guess Druidic Staff would be the heal 3, and I could discard any card. I could discard a green spell to get the heal 3. I guess in a way, if I remembered I had both of them, I could have actually saved that green crystal knowing that I didn't actually need the green mana. So I could have used Crystallize to just get me another green. But that's fine. A little bit of an unfortunate end of round there. But it gives me some options to be in that village to start the next turn. We'll see if I can't kind of take advantage of that. And I am 1 away from another level up, which makes me somewhat happy. So I did not get Flame Wall, which is a little unfortunate. And he's getting another green in his D deck. So now he's going to have 6 green cards, which definitely ups the ante for me. So this goes here. We're going to ready both my units. I have access to them next turn. The Utem Swordsmen go away. There's only 1 monastery that is not burned down. So this is going to go over here. Pathfinding is going to come here. And Power Crystals is now in the unit offer, and Mana Storm is now in the advanced action offer. We get 3 more regular units. We have Peasants, and Scouts. We're going to reset the source. I get 2 gold and a green. Again, not basic, so this is going to happen every round, apparently. All right, a white, a red, and a green. That's better. And we're going to put another red crystal in Goldix's inventory. Did not get myself Flame Wave, and another spell in the spell offer, which is Snowstorm. Love that card. Great card. All right, that makes me happy. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 5. It's a wound, the only wound I have. Oh, a Stout Resolve. That's nice. I'll take advantage of that. And Promise. So you can spend influence to get healing in a village. It's 1 point of healing for 3 influence, and that does count for the modifier. So if I wanted 2 points of healing, it'd be 3 each. That's 6, and then -1. So I'd have to spend 7 influence to do all of that. Don't need to do that. I'll probably just use a stronger effect of Stout Resolve and just discard that wound. It's a one way to do some wound management that I like. I will take Great Start, however, because I want to get off to a great start, people, especially if I'm planning to use Stout Resolve on this very first turn. So we're rolling a die to see what Goldix gets. Goldix rolls a 3. Well, the 3 tactic was already taken out by him in the first round. He rolled a 5. I already took 5. He rolled a 5 again. He rolls a 5. Goldix, you can have it, dude. Wow, early bird. All right, rolls a 1. There we go. 1's out of the game. I took Great Start. I immediately draw 2 more cards. It's counterattack, and it is Cold Toughness. I could pillage the village. I lose a reputation as a result, though, so I think it makes the most sense to not do that. There's really no need for it. I already have a ton of movement, and pretty much that's all I'm doing on my first turn anyway. So we're going to shuffle up Goldix's deck, get them ready for this exciting 3rd round. My goal this round is definitely starting to change. I need to start moving. I need to move a lot. I need to move fast. If I can siege a keep or siege a mace tower, great. But ultimately, we need to start finding where this first city is and put myself in a place where I can siege it in the next round. That is absolutely my goal, to fully and completely demolish the first city, the level 8 city, by the end of the 2nd night. So this goes here, and Goldix is going to go. Again, they're first because they pulled the early bird. Early dragon catches the worm. So they get a white, that's not great, and a blue, 1 blue. So that comes off. So they've gone through 4 of their 18 cards. They have 14 cards left in their deck. Yes, correct and count. Now we go to my turn. I am going to power Stout Resolve with the green. And I can discard any number of cards, including 1, to increase the effect by 2 for each. So I'm going to power that to give me a base of move 3. I'm going to use the first 2 points of that movement to put a tile out here. Oh, what a ridiculous tile it is right there. I think I'm gonna do it. All right, so we have a mage tower. We are not adjacent to it, so even though it's the day, we're gonna have that face down. And then we're gonna have a keep garrison. And again, it is the day, but we're not adjacent to it, so that's gonna be face down as well. That will go there. Now I have one more point of movement from that. I'm gonna discard this card to give me another 2 points of movement. So I have the stronger effect. I can discard any number of cards to increase the effect by 2 each, including 1 wound. So that's my wound. So I have 3 points of movement again. I'm going to spend 2 points of movement to do another explore. And this countryside tile will go here. We have a keep. We have our ruins. We have a dragon den. Or dragon den. No, a monster den. It's like a dragon den. It's just different. I guess a dragon's a kind of monster, but just not a monster that lives in that monster den. So we have a keep. We are adjacent. So this is face up. We have some Utum crossbowmen there, and then we're going to have some ruins. This is going to be face up because it's the day, even though we're not adjacent. This is if we defeat a monster enemy and a Draconum, we get 2 artifacts. How do you like that? I don't have any keeps on the board, so I'm not really that keen on doing like a keep heavy strategy here, but I am keen on defeating another monster in another dungeon. So I have 1 point of movement left. So I'm going to discard Promise to give me 3 points of movement. And I'm going to discard March, or I'm going to play March for its move 2 to get me there. And I'm going to chill there, and we'll deal with that monster next turn. Now, units, they don't fit down in the dungeons. It's really tight down there, and it's dark, and it's cramped, and they're scared, and like whatever. So we're on our own in the dungeon, just like we're on our own in the monastery. And also don't forget that we can't use gold. So even if I roll a gold, it's not going to count, or at least not be useful for me when I attack the monster in the dungeon next turn. I draw to my hand limit, which is 5. It gets a stamina and a druidic staff. That could finally be useful. I think that'll be fine. Goldix is going to go. It's a blue, it's a red, it's a green, 2 more coming up because he has 2 greens. So went through 9 cards, has too many left. not too many left. So 9 cards has 9 left. Yeah. Goldix going too fast. You gotta keep the feeling lasting. All right, so I'm gonna use Druidic Staff. I'm gonna discard a blue card to get 2 crystals of any color. I'm gonna take 2 reds. That should be helpful. We're going into the dungeon, and we're pulling a random monster enemy, and hopefully Cold Toughness will actually pay off for once in its lonely life. Yoink. Here we go. So we have the gargoyles. The gargoyles are attacking with a 5. The gargoyles are worth 4 fame when defeated. They have an armor of 4, and they also have physical resistance. So what am I going to do? I'm going to play Cold Toughness. I'm going to get the stronger effect for Ice Block 5. Ice Block is efficient against physical block, and Cold Toughness proves again that it's not much better than Termination at all. I really don't like that card at all. And what we're going to do is use one of my red crystals. Do I need that? No, I don't. Yeah, I really don't. So I'm going to get counterattack. I get an additional attack 2 for each enemy block. Since I block that enemy, I have a physical attack of a 4. It's inefficient, so I need 2 more attack that's non-physical, or I need 4 physical attack. Here we go. That's 2 non-physical attack. That is enough to kill the gargoyle. So again, with the physical resistance, I basically need 8 physical attack or 4 non-physical attack. So I basically half and half. I got 4 physical attack, and I got 2 non-physical attack, which is enough to defeat that dude. So I get 4 fame. It doesn't do anything to my reputation, again, because it happened in the secrecy of a dungeon. I'm going to clean up my play area. I'm going to roll that. That's a black. I'm going to then get my reward. So I need to roll a mana die. It is a basic color, so I get another artifact. We have the Emerald Ring, get a green mana token and a green crystals in your inventory, gain +1 fame, and then it gives me an endless supply of green and black mana if I break it, and the Banner of Fear. Up to 3 enemies do not attack this turn. Oof. I really like the Emerald Ring, but like Banner of Fear is just too strong. It's too strong. Yeah, I'm gonna need all the help I can get. So we're taking the Banner of Fear. I mean, finding a way to get unlimited black in the final round is really strong, but I just will have options with Blood Ritual to get me some black mana when I need it. So I just think it makes more sense to take the Banner of Fear. I'm going to do my level up. So I look at another skill. Now, one thing I didn't do the first time I got a skill is I didn't add one of Goldix's skills to the offer. So if Goldix's motivation skill, oh, very tempting. Oh, I'll just take Tovak's. I'll take Tovak's motivation skill. Awesome. If I end up taking Goldix's motivation skill later. Let me add another one of Goldix's skills to the skill offer while I'm talking about them. I cannot use both my motivation skills in the same turn, but it's going to be very tempting to take Goldix's one later. I'm going to take Blood Ritual, just like I was talking about, and that is the end of my level up. Let me draw up to my hand limit, which is 5. I still have concentration in my hand. So I get Blood Ritual, I get Banner of Fear, I get Crystallize, and I get March. I think that will be good. Those Ruins is in the hills. Man, I don't know. I'm thinking about, could I kill both of those? I don't have enough attack cards, I don't think. Taking a Draconum and a random monster enemy was very intriguing to me, but I'm definitely worried that I'm a little behind schedule here, so I'm not sure that's the greatest idea ever. All right, Goldix's third turn. So we're getting a green or a white. It's like a green, it's just different. A blue and a red, 2 more. Goldix got a couple of reds in recent history. So 4 more cards left. What am I going to do? I'm going to use my motivation skill. I get 2 cards. Now, if I have the least amount of fame, which in a solo game I do, I get a blue mana. So I have to use it this turn, which is fine because I have Crystallize in my hand. With the Banner of Fear, I'm going to assign this to the Foresters because it could come in handy later. So assign this to a unit you control during the block phase of combat. You may spend this unit to cancel 1 enemy attack. If you do, Fame +1. Now, that will work against any enemies except enemies that have Arcane Immunity because that's super fun. So that goes there. And I'm going to power Crystallize, and I'm going to gain a green crystal to my inventory. I'm going to use the Foresters to get moved to. The cost of going into hills, forests, and swamps is reduced by 1. So I'm going to get into this hill. Now, it does not provoke an attack from the Utrum Crossbowmen because they're in a fortified site, and they're more than happy just to chill there. I'm now going to play March. Now, I'll play Instinct. It gives me move 4 because I'm going to power with the red from the source, and I'm going to be able to do an exploration here. So we have a rampaging orc right in my face. We have another village down here. We have a mage tower garrison going face down. And we'll have, again, this orc right here. What is it? It is a Wolf Rider. So he's only attacking with 3, but the Wolf Rider has swiftness. So to block a Wolf Rider, you actually need 6 points of block because it's doubled, and that's super annoying. But I still have 2 heal cards I haven't seen yet, so I think I just take the 3 points of damage. So yeah, so it's 6 points to block it, but if you don't block it, it's only the 3 points of damage. And I think that's going to make the most sense. I could assign the wound to the Foresters, and it's only heal 1 later, which isn't bad. Yeah, they're going to be fairly easy to kill. So I have 2 more points of movement. I am going to move here, right? Because think about it. I spent 6 points of movement so far. I had 2 and then 4. It would only cost me 2 to get in there because of the Foresters, because that is hills, right? Even though it's a ruins, it's still hills. I explored for 2, and then I moved 2. My movement phase immediately ends. So you think about your turns. There's a movement phase and an action phase. I have to, as the action for my turn, take care of these Rough Riders since I provoked an attack. I am not blocking them. They are going to give me 1 wound, so it's 3 points of damage. I could take that into my hand, or I could just give it to the Foresters, knowing I have a million ways to heal the Foresters, or a level 1 unit. So that's not a bad thing for me to do. And now I just need 4 points of attack. I'm going to get 3 points of attack from the Utrum Crossbowmen, and I have that skill in the melee phase. That's enough to defeat the Wolf Riders. I get 1 reputation back. I get 3 fame, which gets me to 21. I don't have any level ups. Also during this turn, so at the end of my action, I can do healing effects and special effects. I'm going to play Blood Ritual to get a red crystal and a mana of any color. I'm just going to... no, it's fine. I will do that next turn. I won't take the wound, and I'll just deal with that then. It will give me a lot of movement. Next turn, again, I'm really eager to get through this terrain deck a wee bit more. So that's a green, and that will work. So I'm going to draw it to my hand limit, which is 5 still. Yep. So that's the cure. It gives me the heal 2. Goldix's turn. 1, 2. Please be white. Nope. So Goldix is declaring end of round next turn, flying through their turns. My turn. I'm going to play Blood Ritual. I take a wound. I'm going to gain a red crystal and a mana token of any color, including non-basic. So again, that's one way I can get black when I need it in a night. I'm going to get that to get a green. I'm going to use that green to power Cure. So I heal 2. I draw a card for each wound healed from my hand this turn. So I heal 1 card from my hand. I draw a card, and I ready each unit healed. I'm going to heal the Foresters. They also get readied. So that's a really sick combo that honestly I wish I could tell you I was smart enough to see that coming, but I didn't. Now, I'm going to use the Foresters again because they were re-readied. So now I have move... no, hold on to that for a second. I'm actually going to power concentration, which gives me the stronger effect of another card plus 2. So I'm going to use the green and the source to power concentration. So that's going to be move 6. I'm going to spend the first 2 points of that movement to put out the final countryside tile. So we have another village, we have a deep mine, we have a keep, and we have a maze. So the problem with all of that is when you're exploring, you cannot put a core tile on the coast in a wedge map, which this is. So I have to put the first core tile there. So getting up to the keep isn't great. I don't know if it makes sense to get up to that maze though, because I could seriously spend some movement and try to get Snowstorm. But at this point, I have 4 more points of movement left. It is the day. It's only 3 points to get in there, but I'm going to use the Forest. Now that's another move too. Do I want to do that? No, it's only 3 points of movement to get in there. I'm going to play Threaten Sideways. It gives me 5 points of movement left. Remember, because Concentration plus March gave me 6. Threaten Sideways gives me 7. I used 2 for that. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And then my last 2 points of movement so far is putting this tile out. Oh, we have Volcaire's Camp. That's so great. All right, level 8 Volcaire's Camp. Welcome to Rolling Solo for the first time, Greg. We'll see how this goes. Volcaire's Camp is intense. We're going to put Bulky Poo himself. The Volcaire comes with the Lost Legion expansion. There's Volcaire's Quest and Volcaire's Return, which are very popular scenarios, which I like very much. We are going to put an Orc face up behind Volcaire's Camp, so that going there. And we're going to get our first Rampaging Draconum, and they enter the game in the core tile phase. And here we go. We have ourselves a Swamp Dragon. Not bad at all. Could have been so much worse. So I'm going to get the cheat card for Volcaire's Camp, and I'm going to look what we get for a level 8 Legion. Now, that is not revealed until we start to attack it, but we'll know what it has at least by types of tokens, right? So I'm going to set that out, and we're going to have in a level 8 Legion, 1 city garrison, so that's going to be face down. We're going to have 1 keep garrison, that's going to be face down. We're going to have 2 Draconums, those are going to be face down, and we're going to have ourselves 2 orcs. So this is going to be a very interesting challenge for now. That goes down, and then the 2 orcs, what do we got? Are going to be here and here. I think I defeat a monster in there just to get myself another level up, because that's going to give me 6 cards in my hand, and that's going to be very important to really give me a chance here. So these are the 6 enemies in the level 8 Volcaire's army. So the garrisons in general are harder than they would be in a corresponding number city. What makes up for that is the fact that you can use range attack against the enemies of Volcaire's Camp, provided you're not attacking from across the wall. If you attack from across that wall, they get fortifications just like you're attacking any garrison in the city. So really what I'm going to want to do is go into this desert, kill that dragon, come into here, and then attack Volcaire's Camp from that spot, because that's going to be the only way I can do it that's going to, or the easiest way for me to do it that's not going to involve fortifications. I think I just tried to defeat the monster den this turn. There's definitely some benefits to that. So that monster den exists in the hills. I'm going to use the foresters. That gives me move 2, and then the move cost of forest, hills, and swamps is reduced by 1. That gets me there. So all in all, I spent 9 points of movement because I played Threaten Sideways, and that got me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, thanks to the foresters there at the end. I'm going to re-roll this die. It is a white. Clean up my play area, and I'm drawing up to my hand limit, which is still 5 cards. So we have swiftness, stamina, and tranquility. That is a garbage bunch of cards if I ever saw one. Do I have... No, cold toughness is gone. You knew. I can get range attack 6. I can draw another card too. I don't know if I saw counterattack yet. No, there it is. That resolve. Yeesh. think I have another Rage, maybe. I still have this. I got some options. How bad can it be? All right, Goldix declares end of round. Famous last words, kids. I'm going to go. Do I want to draw both of those or just one? I mean, I could literally figure out what the heck's stuff's on my deck, but just by looking at my discard pile. I think it's 2 Rages. I don't know how many Rages I'm going to need. In the Monster Den, remember, I can assign wounds to my units too, so that's nice. So I'll play Tranquility to pull a card. It is a Rage, lo and behold, and we're going to pull a random monster enemy. So if you were in the spawning grounds, it looks very similar. It's a different adventure site. You actually pull 2 random monster enemies, but here we're just pulling 1. Here we have the Minotaurs. So, hello, Minotaur. How are you? I'm about to shoot you in the face with 2 bows and arrows. So, here I am. I'm going to play mana draw. That allows me to use an additional mana die from the source. This guy is not fortified inside his little monster den. It is made of dirt and hill stuff. It is not made of fortifications. I'm going to power both my swiftnesses at his range attack 6. So, forget him and his attack 5. Forget him and his brutal offensive ability. He is a dead Minotaur. And I will get 4 fame as a result. Again, that does nothing to my reputation. I'm going to get another command token as my level up, so I'll go ahead and do that right now. Again, my armor is now 3, just like it was at the last level, but my can limit goes up to 6. I'm going to reroll both these dice because I did not use the stronger effect of mana draw. I used the basic effect, and we'll get my reward. So I did my level up a little bit out of order, so sorry about that. So what am I going to get for my reward? Well, the reward for defeating a monster in a monster den is I'm going to roll a mana die. It is black. So I roll black, I get +1 fame, and I get to roll again. It's white, I get to get a white crystal into my inventory. That's all it is, kids. Not that exciting, but it got me the fame points I wanted to be in a better spot for next turn. Goldix is already declared end of round. I'm going to re-ready my units, and we'll see how effective I can be at taking out this camp next turn. I'm a wee bit behind, but honestly, by the time I do this, I'm going to have so much fame. If I do this over the next 2 rounds, I still should be okay for the final round. At least that's the theory. I'm going to leave the Banner of Fear attached. Now, with banners, at the end of a round, you always have the option to say, well, I might want the stronger effect. Let me put that in my hand. I'm not convinced I'm going to want the stronger effect just now. Maybe I should be. Nah. Ugh. We'll care. Volcaire in his camp. Oh, I need his tile too. And there it is. Volcaire's tile. Look at that. That's going to be tough, kids. All right. This is going to go onto Goldix's deck. Goldix gets a white crystal in their inventory. These move down. We get the new spell at the top is Chill. These move down. We get a new advanced action on the unit offer because there's still 1 monastery on the board. And that is Heroic Tale. The new advanced action in the advanced action offer is Diplomacy. This should go on the bottom of the deck. Never got Power of Crystals. We are going to get new units in the offer. Now we have a core tile on the board now, so we're going to start to see the elite units. The first unit is going to be elite, and then we're going to alternate. So in a mage tower or in a keep, we can get the ice golems. The regular unit's going to be the illusionist. In a city, in a keep or a village, we can get ourselves the heroes. Heroes might be interesting to me. So we do have 1 command token, and they're the only one of these 3 that can be recruited in the village. They multiply your reputation by 2, but my reputation is 0, so it's not going to affect me that bad. The problem with the heroes is that for them to join an assault, so it would include Volcaire's camp or any city, you have to spend 2 influence just to get them to join. I'm going to draw to my hand limit. We're going to rewrite that skill too. Draw to my hand limit so I get Cure, Druidic Staff, Stamina, Promise, and March. I have to reset the source. This night. Oof, man, I'm just rolling non-basic dice like it is my job. So what do we get? So we got a gold, gold, black. Reroll all 3. Gold, gold, blue. This is nuts. Gold, blue. Very strange. Oh, and my hand limit is now 6. That's why I did that monster den. So that will help a wee bit. All right, Goldix, we're going to shuffle up this deck. Now, our Goldix already took Sparing Power from me, which did not make me happy. Don't know if I'm going to go through my deck quick enough to justify a long night. I've been struggling doing that so far. We shall see if I can reverse that trend. It could help me go first, too. I don't know if Mana Search. Mana Search could be helpful. Let me take Mana Search. That blue gold is not inspiring. So I'll take Mana Search. It allows me to roll 2 dice before I take a die from the source on any round. I'm rolling. Oh, I rolled a 4. Midnight Meditation is Goldish skill, which does mean that I go first this round, and I do not hate that. So my turn, I am definitely going to roll 2 dice as per the terms of Mana Search. I get a green and a black, and I'm going to play Druidic Staff. I'm going to discard a card of any color, or discard a blue card specifically to get 2 crystals of a color I want. I want 2 blues, so it has to be 2 crystals that I can put in my inventory, right? So I can't get 2 golds or 2 blacks. Again, golds and blacks don't exist in crystal form. They only exist as mana. I'm going to now use the green I just rolled to get move 4 with March. I only need to move 3 to get there, but I think before I do that, I'll play Rage sideways to get move 5. That's going to allow me to do 2 points of move to put this out. So we get a Mage Tower, a Ruins, which is going to be face down at night. It'll become face up during the day. And we have ourselves a tomb over there, which is like a dungeon, but instead of facing a monster enemy, you face a Draconum. And instead of getting a artifact or a spell, you get both. The ruins again are face down here. The Mage Tower Garrison, because it's the night, it's going to be face down as well. Don't know if it makes sense to siege that, although Snowstorm is fairly attractive to me. Well, wouldn't I need to play that yet, right? So if I just had to move 4 and I use 2 points to put that out, I could have 2 more points of movement. 3 points of movement gets me in there. I get the Banner of Fear. I mean, Snowstorm can be just so sick against the right enemies. I think I do. It might be my last chance to get a spell, to be honest with you. All right, so I have 2 more points of movement. I can use my Motivation skill at any time, and I'll get a blue mana as a result. I don't think I want the Motivation skill. Problem with doing this, though, too, is it's going to make my reputation go down to -1, which means I would need 11 points of influence to get the heroes. However, I could just get the golems for 9, which is probably better anyway. Or I get the illusionist for 7. I would almost guaranteed want the golems. Their resistances are too strong, and I kind of like the golems better than the heroes anyway. I'm talking myself into this. Do you hear me? Like, this is really dumb. Oh, golly gee. All right, I have 2 more points of movement. If I play this sideways, I can cancel that attack unless it has arcane immunity. It gives me another fame, and then I have a fair amount of attack if I need it. So I have 3 more points of movement. I am going to enter the Mage Tower. So I lose 1 reputation because I'm sieging a fortified site. This is the first time I'm doing it this game, which is very strange, but here we are. I am up against the monks. So the monks are attacking me with a 5. They have poison too. So poison means for every wound you take to your hand, you take an additional one to your discard pile. And for every wound you put on a unit, you have to put a second one, right? So that damage can definitely add up. I could just block them 5, but that's just really cumbersome. So we're just going to cancel it with the Banner of Fear. Yeah, let me use the Banner of Fear. It's fine. Range siege attack phase. I did not have 5 siege attack. Range attack will not work against a fortified enemy, so I need siege attack. I don't have really any siege attack, which is one of the reasons I might be a little bit happy to see Volkare's Camp. So I don't have 5 siege attacks, so I now go to the block phase. Now in the block phase of this combat, I'm going to spend this unit to cancel that attack entirely. So I can ignore all abilities and all of it. And now in the melee phase, I just need 5 points of attack. I'm using this skill. I'm going to use Rage, and I will power this with my red because I have so many red crystals anyway. So that's 6 physical attack. That's enough to kill the savage monks. So I already lost a reputation because sieging for fortified site. So I get the 4 fame for beating the savage monks, and I get another fame because I use the Banner of Fear to make it non-attack, because who the heck wants to deal with that many wounds? I am going to clean up my play area, and I'm going to get my reward. My reward is the Snowstorm to finally get some serious amount of siege attack. That's going to go there, and that's going to go there. I draw to my hand limit, which is 6. After I put a thing there. Oh, and by the way, at night, if I were to move into that ruins, it would reveal at that time. But I'm not. Although, one benefit if I go around here, if that's not a city tile, I'd have a way to get around this way to attack Volkare that way without having to worry about this stupid dragon, which is going to really milk a lot of my move. Interesting. Options. I'm going to draw up to 6. Snowstorm, Blood Ritual, mana draw, and swiftness. Oh, one more. The other 6. Ooh, stout resolve. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So Goldix's first turn. It's a red. It's a white. It is a green. 2 more coming off the top. It's white and it's white. Goldix has a pretty balanced inventory there, which can be pretty helpful. My turn. I do want to get those golems. It's going to cost me 9. I'm going to roll the blue in the source, I think. No, never mind. I'm going to play Blood Ritual. I'm going to take a wound. And I get a red crystal and a mana of my choosing. I'm going to take a green mana. I don't want to mess with the source. I kind of like what's in there now. I'm going to play Stout Resolve. That gives me Influence 3, plus I discarded the wound to give it Influence 5. I'm going to discard the Swiftness to make it Influence 7. And I'm going to discard Cure. Cure could be really strong. Yeah, I don't want to discard Cure. Let me use my skill. I get 2 more, and I get a blue mana. Yeah, I'll discard the other Swiftness to get Influence 9, and then hopefully I get some movement to get there, because there's 6 movement. Did I use Concentration yet? I did not. I did use a Druidic Staff, though, to get some crystals. Oh, I defeated this monster den, so that would need a shield. And that's Influence 9. That's going to give me the Ice Golems, which can be recruited at a Mage Tower. They have attack or block 3. They are physically resistant and they are ice resistant. That can be very nice against all the assorted minions of Volkair's army. All right, so I used my motivation skill a little bit earlier than I really wanted to, but I just knew I didn't want to get rid of the cards in my hand, and I have ways to get a big hand later in the turn. So that was Influence 9, worth every bit to get the Ice Golems. Drawing into my little hand limit, which is 6, so there's 2 more cards. So I get movement, tranquility, and a wound. I still have a wound in my hand. Yowza. Goldix's turn. It's his second turn. Red, green, and red. 2 more. So I went through 10 cards. Has 9 left. My turn. I'm going to use Tranquility to heal. Man, I've been trying to hold on to disease so badly. It might be time to let that one go, because I really need to kill that dragon before the end of this turn. I have counterattack. I'm only killing that dragon this turn. I'll get the Legion next turn. So let me drop Cure, because I have to get through my deck a little bit quicker. I get 3 more cards. Instinct, Crystallize, and March. That will help. All right, Goldix's turn. It's a green. It's a green. It's a green. Wow, 2 more. Went through 15 cards in 3 turns. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. So yeah, it's definitely going to go through its deck. So I have 3 more turns this round. So I need to get a move on. I'm going to roll 2 dice. I don't think the black's going to be as important right now. So I'm going to roll these 2. It's a gold and a green. I'm going to use the green to power March for move 4. I'm going to play Instinct for move 2 more. So that's move 6. That gets me into the village at night. Remembering the village is only move 3 at night. I'm going to play... No, Crystallize. Nah, I'm pretty good with crystals. I'm going to drop Crystallize and see if I can't kill that dragon on the next turn. I roll the white. Draw to my hand limit, which is 6, 2, and 3, 6, and I'm going to pillage the village to get 2 more. Actually, is that worth it? No. Not getting enough benefit. I have the cards that I can kill that dragon next turn. There's no point in pillaging the village. I will pillage the heck out of it next turn. Goldix is going to go through their deck. It's a white, a blue, and a red. And then it's my turn. I am going to pillage. Nope. I'm not going to pillage. I'm going to attack the swamp dragon. It's across the wall, so it is fortified. So ranged attack won't work against it. It has 5 attack, but it has swiftness, so I need 10 points of block. Oh, I get the roll for mana search. I get a blue and a white. Perfect. So I'm going to play ice block. So I get ice block 5, and then I get +1 for each ability. There's 2 abilities, 1 poison and 1 swiftness. So that's block 7. I'm going to use the Uthran Bowman for block 10. Now I need 9 points of attack. I'm going to play counterattack. Power it with the red. That gives me attack 4 plus an additional attack 3 since I blocked the enemy. So that's attack 7. That's attack 9. So much attack. I wonder if I should have gone this way, seeing what's in that ruins. Could have been interesting for sure. Yeah, I have so much attack. I won't even use this red crystal. That's attack 6. That's attack 9. I'll save the reds just for kicks. Dragon's dead. I get +2 reputation because I defeated the marauding dragon. So that's dead. I get 7 fame. That gets from 31 to 38. So I'm going to get a level up at the end of this turn. I'm going to clean up my play area. It's a red. This comes back here. Dragon is super dead. And I draw up to my hand limit, which is 6. All right. Goldix declares end of round. And I think it might be time to get the heroes anyway. Oh, that's nuts. They have Cold Fire block 8, which is crazy. If you power the blue, they have the attack or block 5. I think they're so much better than the Utham crossbowmen. That might make sense, but it's again that influence 2 to use them is super annoying. Super annoying. That ice resistance can come into play. I'm more looking at that block effect. Of course, disease is now going to be useless for next round, but counterattack it can be really helpful. Cold Fire block 8 is so sick. All right, let me get them. I just need 9 influence. I'm going to power that with the red. That's influence 5, and then my turn reputation -1. And I'm going to do those 4 sideways. That's influence 9. The Utham crossbowmen go away. The heroes come in ready, even though the Utham crossbowmen were used. I still prefer the foresters. That movement ability can be really huge, and they're just a little easier to soak up damage and heal. I'm going to roll this. It is gold. I think I take the Banner of Fear out. I might burn that up in the next round. I am going to have to siege all of Locaire's camp this next round. I can't really mess around with it anymore. Oh, I didn't do my level up. That's not a big deal. My level up would have happened when I defeated that dragon, so that was just 2 turns ago. So my 2 skills. Oh, I can discard a wound to draw a card once a turn. I can use a card sideways. I don't love either of those. Let me get Goldix's motivation skill, and that's going to make me grab Mana Storm, which on my turn, I would have definitely been in my hand. So I could have chosen a mana die and the source that is showing a basic color, and I could have gained the crystal that color instantly and then immediately re-rolled it. So I could have chosen the white because I had 2 whites and a red. That doesn't count as using, and I could have re-rolled that and it's a white. So it would have played out the same, and I could talk about more in the comments. But basically, this would have been in my hand for sure. I would have played it. I could have chosen a white, re-rolled that, and it doesn't count as me using a die from the source for that turn. Always remember your level ups, people. They're helpful. All right, another Goldix skill is going to go in there. It is siege attack +1. So siege ice attack or siege physical attack +1 every round. Also going to be a very helpful skill. So I only have the 1 wound in here, which isn't bad. Shuffle these up. My inventory is looking super nice, especially for a Goldix game. So those are going to move down. A card would have been added when I took my skill. This gets added to Goldix's deck. These come down, and then 1 more gets to the unit offer. It's explosive bolt, and we have the crushing bolt to the advanced action. Still 1 monastery on the board. The illusionists are going to go away. We get an elite unit here. It's going to be the ice mages, and we have another foresters, and then we have the Defana masters. They can only be recruited in the city, and you have to spend influence for them, as well as any other way that you might be able to gain a unit. A green crystal gets added to Goldix's inventory because underground travel goes away, and we get another spell. It is Charm. We are now revealing this Ruins. So if you spend 3 white mana, you get 7 fame. Glad I did not waste my time going that way. That would have been really useless. And we will shuffle up Goldix's deck. He now has 20 cards. 3 green crystals. Everything else is 2 or 1. So hopefully we can avoid greens, although we do know he has 6 green cards in his deck. So his deck is pretty rich in greens, which can be a wee bit unfortunate. But we'll see how this plays out, obviously. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So that is correct. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 6. It's a Crystallized, Druidic Staff, Snowstorm, Tranquility, Threaten, and Mana Draw. So I like having Threaten because it allows me to activate the heroes. I am going to take my tactic. I'm going to take Rethink. Makes the most sense. So that means I will go first again. We do have to re-roll the dice in the source. I continue my string of rolling an insane amount of non-basic colors. So we get a blue and then another blue and a white on the reroll. So Rethink, when I take this tactic, discard up to 3 cards, including wounds, and then draw that many from your deck. I'll discard 1, I'll draw 1, and then I shuffle this back into my deck. So that became my discard pile, that 1 card, and then you shuffle your discard pile into your deck at the end of it. So Mana Search goes away from last round. Rethink goes away from this round. I am going to pillage the village, which you can do before your first turn. So I'm pillaging the village. It is a swiftness and an instinct. And I lose a reputation because I pillage the village. This is the first time I did some pillaging. Oh, wait. I gained 2 because I defeated the dragon, and then I played Threatened. So I would have been down there. Now I'm here, which is fine. I'm not planning to care about influence for the rest of the game, so this will totally work. On my turn, I'm going to play Druidic Staff. I'm going to throw out Crystallize. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to discard Crystallize. It's like throwing out, but it's different. And I gain 2 crystals of any color. I will gain 2 greens. Greens can be the most helpful for me for sure. I'm also going to play Mana Storm. I'm going to take the blue. I'm going to get a blue crystal in my inventory, so I have 3 of every color except for white. And I'm going to roll that. It's black. Now I still could have access to a mana this turn. Don't really need it, so we're good. I'm just going to put this to the side, draw to my hand limit, which is 6. And then I get the only wound in my hand. Awesome. Hopefully I'll get Stout Resolve, and then I'm going to pillage the village again. I go to -1. I get 2 more cards. So Banner of Fear could be huge. I like where we're at. I'm going to have to kill this artifact, but that's fine. I still think I'll have enough firepower in the final round to get this done. Goldix is going to draw cards. It's 3 cards. It's a red, a green, and a blue. 1 more card comes off. So Goldix has 16 cards left in their deck. So my turn. You have to have a legal turn. A legal turn, you have to at least discard a card from your hand or play a card. You have to do something. You can't just like, oh, my turn's over, I'm going to pillage again, right? So I have to basically drop one of these cards, which isn't great because I don't really want to drop any of them. That said, Mana Draw is probably the most useless because I have so many crystals. So I'm going to drop that 1 just to have a legal hand. And now my hand limit is still 6, but I can still pillage the village even though I have more cards in my hand limit. So I draw 2 more, I get Concentration and Cure. Now, I'm going over this wall. So this is actually a move 5 to get in there because it's going to be 4 for the terrain I'm moving into plus 1 for that wall. So that's one of the reasons I'm glad I kept those foresters around, because I do think I want to get into that spot next turn. And I could actually start using these motivation skills in consecutive turns, so you can't use them on the same turn. So I think that will work out for me anyway. Goldix goes, it's a green, it's a white, it's a red, 2 more, 1 and 2. My turn. I'm going to use this motivation skill of Goldix's. I get 2 cards, 1 and 2. And then I get a green mana because I have the least fame because it's a solo game, clearly. I'm going to power March for move 4. It's going to be 2 move to move into Volcara's camp. Tranquility's kind of useless. Let's redraw 2 more cards. Tranquility's probably not useless. I'll be able to draw the 2 more cards. So I'll just spend the stamina. So move 6 total. That gets me here. And now when I attack Volcara's camp, I will not have to worry about the fortification that comes from the wall. All right, I am there. I draw 0 cards. I can't pillage, but I'll get 4 more cards in my hand before my next turn. Because Goldix's turn. Red, green, and blue. So 1 more. That's nice. I'm using Tovak's motivation skill now. I get 2 more cards. 1, 2, and a blue mana. I'm going to play Tranquility, so it's a healing effect. I cannot play that during battle, but I can play that now. I'm going to power that with the green to draw 2 more cards. 1 and 2. I did not get counterattack, which just makes me a little sad. And now I'm going to move to, I have to go now. I'm going to move to, and I'm going to enter into Volcara's camp. So one of the nice things about sieging Volcara's camp is you also don't lose a reputation for it at the end of it. So I'm going into Volcara's camp. I'm going to get to see this amazing legion of his. Let's see if we can't wipe it out on this turn. So what do we have? We have the Amotep Freezers. So they have a ice attack of a 3. It has swiftness. So you actually need to spend 6 points to block it. And actually, since it's ice attack, unless it's fire block, you actually need to have 12 points to block it, which is really bananas. Now, efficient block, you only need the 6 because of the swiftness, but a non-efficient block, you actually need the 12. We have the Guardian Golems. They're only attacking with a 2, and they have physical resistance. We have the Skirmishers. We have the Diggers, so who cares about them? We have the Ice Dragons, so you need to have 12 points of physical block to block them. They have Paralyze, so anything they attack or do damage to, they are going to kill. And then we have another Swamp Dragon. Oh, and meanwhile, Volcare, he's also going to attack us. He is going to attack with a black, which means he is doing an attack of a 3. If it's not blocked, it has Brutal, so 6 points of damage, Assassin, and Paralyze. So a lot of fun things to consider, kids. Here we go. I'm going to kind of play out what I normally do just to kind of make this a little bit more visual. Remember, if you take as many wounds into your hand as you have a hand limit or more, that doesn't mean that's the max wounds you can take. You can take as many wounds as you take. But if you take as many up to your hand limit, you are knocked out. Getting knocked out, not so good. So the diggers would give me 1 wound if I don't block them. The skirmishers have 2 attacks of a 1, even though it's a measly attack. Each one of those is enough to give you a wound if not blocked. So that would be 2 more wounds from them. On with the freezers, even though it takes 12 points of block, it's still only 3 points of damage. So we can kind of figure out what we want to do with that. This is only 6 points of damage, so that would be 2 wounds. But again, both of those, the bigger problem isn't the amount of damage, it's the fact that it would paralyze me. That is 2 points of damage, so that's not a big deal. This is 5 points of damage plus 2 wounds in my discard pile because of the poison. And then Volcaire is only 1 wound himself, but again, he also has paralyzed, which makes all of that not super fun. Looks like a lot of problems. Let me figure out how many range attack I can get. I can get range attack in the amount of that. I gave away my Utham Crossbowman to get the hero. Speaking of the heroes, I do want to get them involved, so we're going to play Threaten. Since I don't have counterattack, I can't say, hey, 3 of these you just don't attack and just get rid of the Banner of Fear. That's not the craziest idea I've ever had. And then I take no wounds. Maybe. Let me figure out my range attack. I could power concentration and give me the stronger effect of swiftness plus 3. I can power swiftness itself with the other swiftness that was in my hand. So that would give me a ranged physical attack of an 8. That gives me a ranged ice attack of a 5. Obviously, this guy is physical and ice resistant. So none of that is great. The ranged ice attack of a 5 was super efficient against this dude, even though he does like no damage. I'm not worried about those wounds. In the assigned damage phase, I can assign these 2 points of damage to the heroes. These heroes are ice resistant. So since they don't take a wound, the paralyze doesn't trigger. So I think it just makes sense to kind of not use that on them. The diggers have an enemy fortification. So even though they're not fortified because they didn't come behind the wall, they're still fortified. Oh man, I wish it was 9. I would just take out the lava dragon. Can I get any more range attack? I cannot. And the battlefield will not work against Volcaire, because Volcaire does have arcane immunity. So that means that he's immune to the non-attack, non-block effects of cards. The bigger concern I have is going to be the Ice Dragon, because I have no fire attack at all. So I break that, all those wounds go away. Now I have that available to me. I used that to draw cards, and I didn't move too. All right, so I still have this green, or the green. It's like green. I still have that blue mana. I'm going to break the Banner of Fear because it just makes sense. We're going to get rid of the wounds of those 3 enemies. So this is 2 separate attacks, but it does say the enemy doesn't attack. So it blocks all of those attacks. So all those wounds just go away, and I just don't have to deal with it. So I broke the Banner of Fear. I'll deal with the consequences of that later. In the final round, I'm going to want to use disease and actually block things. And when you say it doesn't attack, it actually doesn't count as a block. So it's going to make sense, especially if I have counterattack. Disease and counterattack would be a really sick combo I'm hoping to get to work to my favor in the final round. Ultimately, I still have all these points of attack left. I didn't use them in the range attack phase because it just wasn't efficient to do it. This wound from Volcaire, I'm going to use the Foresters to block them. All that's canceled. I don't worry about the Assassin or the Brutal or any of that. And then I'm going to assign the Digger's wound to the Ice Golems. The Ice Golem are physical resistant, so that's fine. So I took 0 wounds. Everyone's still alive except for the Golems. And now I got to figure out how much attack I can do here. I'm going to take all this back and then refigure out what I want to do. So I need to get 14 blocks just to figure out how to kill this dude. So I'm going to get 5 from the heroes. I'm going to get another 6 from the Ice Golems, and then I'm going to get 3 from the Swiftness. So 14 attack is enough to kill that dude. Now I am going to just need 7 plus 9 plus 7. I need another 23 points of attack. Yup, that's the math. So 23 points of attack. Here we go. I'm going to play Stout Resolve. No, I'm going to play Concentration. I'm going to get the stronger effect of Stout Resolve plus 2. So that's 5, 7. I need 23 total, right? Yikes. 5, 7. This is 4. So none of this is fire attack, and none of these guys have physical resistance. So I can group them together and not worry about physical resistance being an issue. So this is all physical attack. I just want to know if I can get it to 23. I can do this. The most attack I can get is 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 17, 20. So that's enough to kill these 3, and the only ones that survive are the diggers. I'm cool with that. I'll get the diggers next. Not the faithful care again, but they're all going to be dead. So that's fine. The diggers survive. So I'm going to clean up my play area. Since I did not defeat all of Voltaire's legion, I do get kicked out. I go back here. I'm going to stack the 5 enemies I defeated. We're going to get this die, re-roll it. It's a blue. And you know what? I'm going to clean up this board a little bit. I'm never attacking any of these areas. So we'll get those tokens away, get that ruins token away. And I'll leave that keep just in case. End of my turn effects. We're going to count the fame. So that's 7, 14, 16, 24, 28. That gets me up from 38 up to, math is hard, 66. Is that right? Yeah, 28 fame. That's so nuts. That's 2 level ups. So we're going to get this. I'm going to get another skill. What do we get? 2 movement during the day. Every turn or range attack, +1 during the day, +1 at night. Siege attack is looking mighty fine, but I don't want diplomacy. I do want dodge and weave. Dodge and weave is way too good to leave that on the table. I'll take the range attack, and then I'm going to take dodge and weave. We get another Goldic skill. It is his cooperative skill. Dodge and weave, welcome to the team. The diggers stay there. I'm going to draw it to my hand limit, which is still 6. Let's make this happen. Goldix, what are you doing? So green, white, white. 1 card comes off. My turn. Oh, so this also gets discarded. I'm going to have this and this. We're going to go in. We're going to have to figure out what Voltaire is doing for his attack. He's doing the same attack. I'm going to absorb the digger's attack into the golems. So you can use dodge and weave against Voltaire. So dodge and weave reduces 1 enemy attack. Basically, arcane immunity protects the enemy. It doesn't protect their attacks, is one way to think about it. So I can reduce, it's just so pointless to be honest with you. Fine, I'm going to reduce his attack by 4. So his attack is effectively 0, which basically means that he is blocked. Now he does count as a block enemy, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to play counter attack, attack 2, attack 3, attack 4, 5. Actually, I don't even need to play counter attack, which is nuts. Yeah, that's fine. So I reduce his attack to a 0. The diggers, I assign 3 points of damage to the ice golems. They're physically resistant, so that's fine. And then I just need 3 attack in the melee phase. Those 2 skills gave me a total of 3 attacks. So the diggers are dead. I get 2 more fame. I don't get reputation because, again, it wasn't a marauding orc. It was just, the last vestiges of Voltaire's enemy. Voltaire now goes wee all the way home. So one thing I should have been keeping track of, for every white or red enemy I defeated, I get a shield. And for every 2 gray or green enemies I defeated, I get a shield. So a total, that should be 4 shields. Because again, there were the 2 green enemies, there are 2 dragons, the 1 city, garrison, etc. So we have 4 shields. Now those count as influence 1 for each. And I can recruit any units that have a keep or a village symbol. And that's totally cool. And I could add more by spending 1. So I might actually go ahead and get myself another foresters. That's actually a pretty lousy unit offer for what I'm looking to do, but could be worse. So we're going to get this off my play area. That's a red. I'm going to draw it to my hand limit, which is still 6. All right, there's cold toughness. Just proven always that it's just useless. It's like the worst. When it's useful, it's awesome. It's just so rarely useful in my experience that I just don't get it. People love it. I'm not one of them. So Goldix is going to go, gets to the bottom of their deck. They are going to declare end of round next turn. I have 4 influence modified. I have 2 influence. I could spend 3 cards sideways to get the foresters, which I don't really hate. You know what? I get here at the end of this turn, I could actually reveal the last 2 quartiles if I need to. So I think that makes the most sense. One thing I should say, when you conquer Voltaire's camp, it counts as a keep. Whenever you conquer a keep, you get +1 card draw to your hand per keep that you have conquered on the map. So this in itself would give me +1 card draw next turn. So I would, if I stay adjacent to it, I'll start my turn with 7 cards in my hand as opposed to just 6. Problem is I have no movement. I'm going to need to kill those skirmishers. So that's fine. I'm going to attack the skirmishers. I'm going to block one of their attacks. Block another one of their attacks. Again, it's a double attack, and now I need 4 attack. I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, and I can play counter attack. Whatever. That's attack a million. That gives me 1 reputation back. It gives me 2 fame. That gets me up to 70. And we are in business. I think another movement could be nice, but you know, we shall see. Gold declares end of round. I concur with that opinion because I can't really do much else. So now I need to find this Megapolis and hopefully be able to take it down in one full swoop. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough thing to pull off in one round. Not impossible with this deck. If I can combo Disease and Counterattack and Blood Ritual, I really do have a very good shot at pulling this off. A level 12 Garrison isn't awful, and we know it's not going to be Volkare's Camp, so it is what it is. We have a very good deck with no wounds in it, so that makes me happy. We'll give ourselves at least a fighting shot. We're going to get rid of this. This white gets added to Goldix's deck. He gets a blue crystal in his inventory, so his inventory is mostly balanced. He just has the 3 greens. This goes here. This goes here. Yoink. It's a fireball. It's like the converse of Blizzard. This comes down. We get another advanced action there. It's ritual attack. And we get an advanced action here. It is Chilling Stare. We're going to reshuffle Goldix's D deck. And what I'm going to do is actually move some of these tiles off the board to make visibility a wee bit better. Get enough of a sense of where the coast is that I'll still be able to put these out legally without much thought. And that will do. Oh, I need to reset the source. So white, white, and blue. I'm going to draw out my hand limit, which is 6, 7, because I count as the owner of that keep. How it normally works is, say if this was a cooperative game, you would only get a bonus draw if you had keeps that you conquered on the board, or if you were the city leader. So as a solo game, obviously I'm a city leader. I have the most shields there, so I do get that +1 card. So I get 7 cards. I didn't reset the unit offer. So we get the Altum Guardians. They can only be recruited in the city. We get the Thugs. They can only be recruited in keeps or villages. Might grab them while I have the spot. And then we have the other heroes. Again, it'd be 2 heroes that are going to need 2 influence each. That might be a tall order here. Snowstorm, like to see that in my hand. That's going to be a siege attack 8. Mana Storm can be nice. Cold Toughness. And we have 1 more card coming. It is Crystallized. I'm going to go first because Long Night's not going to really help me. Not a ton of movement. I do have these Foresters. It's going to be 5 moves to get to the forest during the night, which I still think is the right call. Still have the Foresters to make it a little bit easier. Could just trash Druidic Staff. It probably makes the most sense. So my first turn, I am going before Goldix. I took the 1. He took the 2. So I'm going to trash Druidic Staff. I get to take 2 crystals of any one color. I'm going to take 2 whites. And I'm going to be able to... You know what? Let me hold on to that for 1 turn. All right, here's the deal. Let me recruit the Thugs, so they're there. I'm going to spend the white, the influence 4. I'm going to play Crystallize. I'm going to power the blue from my inventory to switch that up to a green, because green's going to be a lot more useful for me. So influence 4, modified by the -1. But again, if you're recruiting the Thugs, it actually becomes a positive thing. So it's influence 4. That -1 becomes a positive 1. So I have influence 5. That's all I need to get the Thugs. So again, we've got to see both the heroes mechanics and the Thugs mechanics in the same playthrough. We're bringing it. So bananas. I'm going to play Mana Storm 2. I'm going to get this white crystal. Again, that's not using it. You're just taking it for those whatever purpose, putting it back. So that is fine. So I used the die from the source for Promise. I took a die from the source for Mana Storm. So that's the difference there. I'm going to end my turn. I roll that. It's a white again. These all go away. And now I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 6 plus the 1 because of Volkare's Camp, which counts as a keep for me. Goldix, 21 cards. So hopefully we will not pull a green. Red, white, and a red. So not great, but still not a green. So we didn't pull any of the 6 greens in that deck, though. So we do need to be careful. There are only 16 cards left. We will not have much time. I'm going to use the Foresters to get me move 2 and the cost to move into hills, forests, or swamps is reduced by 1. I am now going to play Stamina, March, and get me move 4. So that's move 6 total. The 4 movement into the forest, again, because Foresters reduce that. And I'm going to place the next tile here and hope against hope that it is the city that we want. It is not. It is a big mountain in my face. Yowza. Now that could be better. So we have a rampaging Draconum on the other side of that mountain. That's going to go face up, and it is a lava dragon. We have a mage garrison. Mage tower garrison is going to go face down here. I am going to spend the stamina to place the last tile there. And here we have the blue city. There's another monastery that comes on the board. So we get another advanced action there. Ambush. That could definitely be worse. Yeah, it could definitely be worse. Again, the cost to move into forest, hills, and swamps reduced by 1 this turn to a minimum of 0. So we have the blue city here. We also have a megapolis. So the other city is going to be green. That was on top of that deck. So we'll worry about that garrison in a second. We'll put those two out. We are going to spend instinct for move 2 more. Again, the cost to move into hills is reduced by 1 thanks to the foresters. That goes there. We have a rampaging Draconum. Now, normally, if I was going to attack the city from that spot, it'd be a problem because the Draconum would enter the garrison and I would have to fight it. Ooh, and it's a Draconum summoner, which is awful because his attack is now 2 monster enemies. No, thank you. You don't have to defeat an enemy that you draw into a battle that way, but you do have to take those wounds. It's more likely to knock you out. It's a kind of an annoying thing. Fortunately, I have the Druidic Staff, and there's a reason why I kept it last turn, is that I'm going to break that now. I get 2 crystals of any one color to my inventory, or I could re-ready the foresters. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, I'll re-ready the foresters, and I get to move 2 revealed spaces to a safe space. Now, normally you have to discard a card to do these things, but when you break it, choose 2 of the above options without discarding any cards. And I can move 2 spaces. They're both revealed, and I ended in a safe space, and it did not provoke that dragon. It's more like I teleported, right? So it's super cool. That goes there. So I'm in the monastery. I will not burn it down. Part of me wants to burn it down, but I won't. I'll be good. And I rewrite the foresters, which gives me another block. So that could all add up to a very nice opportunity here to siege the city. Cleared up my play area, and I'm going to draw 3 more cards. 1, 2, 3. Because my hand limit is still only 6. And I do not get a lot of the cards that I want. So that's not great case. All right. Now, I am going to reveal this garrison, and then it's going to be Goldix's turn. So in a Megapolis, they're going to half the amount of the Megapolis. So we're going to do 6 and 6 and get the corresponding garrisons for both the cities that you're facing that are joined as one. So the green city has 2 keep units in their level 6 garrison. The blue city has no keep units in their level 6 garrison. The blue city has 1 mage tower garrison in its level 6 garrison. The green city has none. The green city has 1 monster unit, and then between the 2 of them, they have 3 city garrison units because the green city has 1 at level 6 and the blue city has 2. So 7 enemies total. Now we just took on 6 with Volcare. I'm not scared. I mean, I'm a little scared. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out. It's going to be close. So the good thing about what we've got going on is the green city bonus to the enemies is kind of pointless in the last round because I really don't care about taking wounds to your discard pile. Now, if you really, really care about scoring, you might feel differently about that than me. I don't care. It is what it is. The blue city bonus only affects elemental attack. While the green city makes all physical attacks have poison, the blue city bonus makes elemental attack that much more elementally terrible. So we'll see what we got. All right, we got the freezers. Now they are now attacking at an attack of a 5, which means you need 20 points of physical block to block them, which is super bad. But again, I could just assign the 3 points of damage to a unit and disband it because who cares about units anymore? We have the Grim Legionnaires. Physical attack, totally fine. Don't really care, and they cannot be fortified, but they do have arcane immunity, so we do need to be aware about that. The Amhotep Gunners. Now, the more physical attacks I get, the harder it's going to be for me to do the cure disease thing, because again, I need to have all that extra block. So this dude is now attacking at an 8 with brutal. So we'll see what we can do there. The heroes themselves, heroes on heroes crime, they have 2 attacks. We have a physical attack, which has poison, and a elemental attack, which is now coming in at a 5. And when you defeat the heroes, you lose 1 reputation because no one likes when you defeat the heroes. We have the Utham Guardsman, not a big deal. Another elemental attack. That's really gross. They're attacking in 8 as well. Oh, and for good measure, we have some werewolves. That is not the Garrison of Dreams, kids. It's really, really ugly. Ooh. Okay. We will take it one at a time. But what I do need to get is I somehow need to get counterattack in my hand, which it currently is not. And again, this is all revealed. Why? Because I am adjacent to it. That's revealed. Goldix's turn. What's Goldix doing? It gets a red, it gets a white, and a blue. So 2 more. There's a first of its green. It still has 5 greens in its deck. Ooh. So it's gone through how many cards? Yeah, it's gone through 10 cards. Only has 11 left. And that is not the thing of dreams. My turn. Man, I need counterattack, and I need disease, and I need it now. Oh, I also could use... What's that other thing I could use? I could also use dodge and weave. Man, I have tons of cards in here. That's not great. Too many cards. I'm wondering if it makes sense just to drop Stout Resolve at this point. I just don't know if it's going to be all that effective. I think I rest. I drop these 3 cards. I just have... Oh, the block. No. I think I drop it. This is bad. Those jacked up numbers are really bad. Siege attack 8. Siege ice attack 8. So I can wipe out the freezers. Utham Guardsmen are double fortified, so I cannot wipe them out in the city. But I can wipe out the freezers. I could just also wipe out the Legionnaires. But I really want counterattack. So bad. Counterattack, where are you? I also don't have any black mana. I can get black mana with that. Disease would be a really sick way to pull this off. I think I go with disease and counterattack. I just got to get them out of my deck. What did I spend already? Yeah, it's fine. All right, I'm going to drop these 3 cards and just rest. Draw up the 3 more. There's disease. There's rage. There's rage. Oh, so close. So close. I think I do it next turn, and then if I have to, we go in one more time. All right, Goldix. Green. Don't be green. It's white. Good. 7 more cards, so we're at least getting 4 more turns out of this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that motivation. I get 2 more cards. Just counterattack 1. Nope. But then I get a blue. I cannot use the other motivation this turn. So I'll put that over there. I'm going to power Tranquility, though, with the green. I get 2 more cards. Counterattack. Yes! That's what I'm talking about. That's some sickness. Well, I feel a lot better. Great. So I'm going in. I'm going to use move 2 from the swiftness. Yeah, that gives me the block 3 from the forcers. So I'm in. I'm sieging a fortified site, so I lose a reputation. I'm in the city. As a special effect, I'm going to power mana draw with the white from the source. And I can turn any other die to any other color I want except gold. So I can do it to black. I'm going to get 2 black mana. And I'm going to start laying out what I want to play this turn. So disease, definitely playing. I don't need any of the greens, fortunately. And snowstorm, I'm playing with that. And that's going to give me a wound. That will count against the number of wounds I could take this turn. That would knock me out. I'm also playing dodge and weave. That reduces attacks. Remember, an attack that's reduced to 0 does count as a successfully blocked attack, because I know I'm going to want to play counterattack, which is going to give me +3 attack in the melee phase for each thing I blocked. And I also have cold toughness, which gives me an ice block 5 +1 for each special ability. So it's ice block 5, get +1 block for each ability or color of attack depicted on the enemy token you block, unless it has arcane immunity, or for each mana spent by an opponent during the attack. Obviously, that's more for a competitive game. Now, I hate something about this card. I don't understand why it's a different calculus for enemies with arcane immunity. I've had it explained to me in a couple ways. It still feels like a stretch. It's still weird to me. I really, really feel like there's no reason why this card doesn't function like every other block card. So what I'm trying to say is immunity normally only affects the non-attack, non-block. For some reason, arcane immunity affects the block effect of cold toughness, and I think that's a really, really bad decision. That's not part because it's just confusing. So any reason they might have had for it, I still find it really absurd. But I digress. The abilities of the tokens are going to actually work to our favor here, right? So I have Ice Block 5. I can get an Ice Block 8 against the Amenhotep Gunners because 1, there's 1 color of attack. 2, it has a defensive ice resistance ability. And 3, it has a brutal ability. So that's Ice Block 8. So we have successfully blocked that dude with cold toughness, even though it's attacking me at an 8 because of the blue city. So I'm going to start a counter here of how many enemies I have successfully blocked. That is 1. I'm going to reduce 1 enemy attack by 4, or 2 attacks of 1 or 2 enemies by 2 each. So that's going to give me some things to think about. Think this through. I'm going to use the foresters to block the Utham swordsman, guardsman, swordsman, whatever. One of them. We're good. Oh, I need influence. Oh, shoot. I need influence for the heroes. That's probably why I shouldn't have dropped stat resolve. Here we go. So this gives me a couple of options here. So the thugs, you cannot assign damage to this unit unless you play 2 influence during combat. I'm going to spend the thugs to get their influence. That's influence 4. I'm going to lose a reputation. I'll just do it now so I don't forget at the end of the turn. And that influence 4 is going to allow me to, 1, assign damage to the thugs, and 2, is going to allow me to involve the heroes in this attack. So it's pretty nice. Mechanically, it's weird. It's like, oh, I'm spending the thug's influence to basically allow them to take a wound. But hey, that's how I roll. I have exerted their own influence against themselves, and they're just going to deal with it. I can do a cold fire block with the heroes using this blue, and that's going to allow me to block these guys. That's the 3rd enemy blocked. And again, all enemies blocked during the block phase get their armor reduced to 1. That's so nuts. So 3rd enemy blocked, and I'll keep them up here. Armor reduced to 1. I'm going to use dodge and weave against both attacks of this heroes. Actually, no, this is better. Yeah, I'm going to use dodge and weave against the 1 attack of this enemy. So it's an attack of 5 because of the blue city. I'm reducing it by 4, so now it's only a 1. But it's got the swiftness. I'm going to use Blizzard against the Unlimited Freezers, or just forget about them altogether. That makes me feel better. So they're done, and I've blocked 3. If I can block a 4th, that will be good, although not that intent. Not really that worried about blocking those 2. If I reduce his attack, again, he's arcane immune, so blocking him, he's not going to get the effect of disease. Is there 1 more I could block? Yeah, I could do this. So I'm going to use the heroes. I think this will work. So I'm going to reduce their ice attack down to a 1. So then I could play that rage, which gives me a physical block of 2, which is going to basically block the ice attack. And I'm going to use the ice golems to block the other one. So she's blocked. So that gives me 4 enemies blocked. No one has physical immunity, so that's pretty sick. And now in the rest of these guys, so he's attacking me with 11 damage. I'm going to take 1, 2, 3 wounds to my hand, 3 to my discard pile, or I can assign them to, again, my units here. And then the werewolf has 7 points of damage. So that's going to be 2 wounds to my hand, 2 is my discard pile. Remember the discard pile, because these are physical attacks, so they have the poison offensive ability added to them. So what I'm going to do is assign 1 wound to the ice golems. Here's that's going to work. So I'm going to take the 11 points of damage from the Grim Legionnaires, and we have this immunity for the ice golems, right? So the immunity is going to absorb the first 4 points of damage, and then the next 4 points of damage are going to wound the ice golems. And then the poison effects in the trigger, so they actually get wounded twice. Not a big deal. I'm now going to assign the remaining points of damage to the thugs. Also, because of the poison, they get a double wound there. And now I have the 7 points of damage from the werewolf. I'm going to use 4 points of damage to wound the foresters. They get double wounded because of the poison, and that's 3 points of damage left. I take a wound to my hand, so it's only 2, and I get 1 to my discard pile because of the poison. Oh, I should do this. So reduce 1 enemy attack by 4. Gain attack 2 in the attack phase if you not add any wounds to your hand in the previous phase of combat. The previous phase of combat was the block. So the wound I took in the siege attack phase is different. So instead of taking 1 to my hand, it goes there, and that gives me an attack 2. That might actually make a big difference. All right. So let me do the math here. So I have the 7 enemies. 1 I killed with Snowstorm and took a wound. That was in the siege and range attack phase. Now we're in the melee phase. After going through the block phase, I blocked 4 enemies. All of these guys have their armor reduced to 1. All right. They are not immune to the effects of disease. So that's only going to be 4 points of damage to kill all of them, which is really stupid. And I have that right there. They are all super dead. Again, none of them have physical immunity. We're good there. and now counterattack. I get an additional 3 attack for each enemy I block this turn, so it's 4. I blocked 4 enemies, so that's 12 points of damage. That's 16 points of damage. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. That kills these guys, and I have 7 left. That was nuts. Yeah, dude, I was a little worried. I'm not going to lie, but it came together. I knew that combo was there. I knew the counterattack and disease and knowing that Tovak and cold toughness and like every once in a while it works out. And like that was an example. And that's why people love Tovak in a way that I don't. But that was really nice. I still have another motivation skill here. You saw the power of just like whatever. Just was able to get just a big enough hand. And here we got Blood Ritual, Threaten, March. So this was not really important cards. Concentration could have been nice, but again, obviously we just didn't need it. And Blood Ritual is like almost a backup in case I didn't get mana draw, right? Because mana draw was the way I got those 2 black mana. So that's awesome, man. I'm psyched about that playthrough. I really am excited to look this one back. It's like it just didn't look like it was coming together. And then you get Volcara's Camp and you're like, oh, that's going to be tough. And then you're like, but you just make those decisions to say, all right, well, I knew when I was like sieging this Mage Tower that I was going to be way further behind schedule than I wanted to be. But I'm like, man, I get to go there. I get to get the Ice Mages. I really like them. I'll get back. I should be able to kill that dragon, which is fine. It will set me up for that. And then just kind of see where everything else falls. And we were just able to get the Blue City. I think the Blue City was probably the best one for us. Again, the Druidic Staff allowed us to jump over so we could avoid that dragon, which was super nice. The White City might have been the tricky one then. Yeah, the White City could have been a big problem, actually. The White City with Lake of Whiteness. Oh, yeah. Well, think about it. With Druidic Staff, we would have had to jump. Oh, that would have been bad. Oh, yeah, we would have been toast. We would have had to use the Druidic Staff to go here, and then we could have filled the hole with the countryside tile here, so you could put a tile from the box if there's 3 adjacent, but we would have run out of time. Yeah, the White City would have been the kiss of death, I think. I don't see how we would have pulled that off, because if we Druidic Staff there, then we have to find the countryside tile and still somehow get around there to attack without provoking that dragon. That was super cool, man. 8-12 is a nice challenge. I think what I'm going to do is just move up the ladder to 8-12, 8-13, 8-14, 8-15, 8-16. And then like 9, you get to 9-18. I mean, ultimately, I think a goal for me I have in this game is if I can get myself to 11-22 one of these days, that'd be bananas. Pulling it off solo, I think would be super hard. I mean, you are going to need a card like Disease or a card like Tremor or Earthquake, I think is the stronger effect of that one. And if you don't know those cards, it's fine. I mean, this is the cool thing about this game. It's like every game, I feel like it's like a card that makes me see it in a way that I never saw it before. I'm like, oh, that's really strong in this instance. It's cool. The depths of this game are super cool. And I'm psyched, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be on Rolling Solo. Thanks again to Adam Smith. He has been a pleasure to get to know over the last few weeks, and he's been really helpful for me as I've tried to level up my own channel and make the quality of this better, my audio better, my video better, in order to bring a better product to everyone who watches these playthroughs. And that's been super cool. Thanks to his patrons and my patrons for supporting both of our channels so we could do things like this and improve both of our presence here in YouTube and make things a better place for gamers everywhere, right? So, I mean, for anyone who's worried about scoring, I don't score. I mean, dude, I would have lost another reputation because I killed the heroes. 8, 18, 28, I don't know. Plus, I would have like 40 more points just from killing. I would be like 110 there. I would have had one more turn. I mean, it is what it is. I find scoring in this game to be really anticlimactic, and I just don't waste the time on it. I have a lot of wounds on my units. I have only 1 wound in my deck, though, which is is not much for me. And anyone who see my playthroughs is probably laughing because they know. they know how I am. They know how I be. But it's super fun. But yeah, this was a great opportunity. It's a great playthrough. You can check out what I do on my own channel. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday. My Wednesday playthroughs are normally live playthroughs, so I kind of switch it up in that sense. But yeah, every Wednesday and every Sunday over at Solo Playthroughs. Until next time, happy gaming.